What is up, beautiful people? What is up, chat? What's up, YouTube? Welcome, guys, to LootCast episode number 34. Yes, I repeat, you guys have been blessed with 34 weeks of beautiful ear goodness, and we have been bringing it to you each and every week, and this week is no different. Guys, we have an awesome episode lined up for you today. We're talking about Animal Crossing. It's in the news. Go tell Tom Nook I got it. I'm going to take the job. I'm going to get a new Switch. I promise, take my money, Nook. And he's going to be like, all right, you got to sign the contract first before we give you the Switch. And you're going to do it anyways. Don't read the fine print. It's going to be fine. We're talking about the new Switch that was announced today. We're talking about Nintendo being in the news. They had their financial reports this week. And guys, they are blowing it out the water. No matter what color you represent, whether it's red, blue, or green, just know that Nintendo is starting to bleed over into the gaming sphere this week, and they are really taking over. We're going to be talking about this and tons more this week. Now, as you guys see on screen, we have a small but mighty crew with us. We have the beautiful few. We're joined by your player 2, Mono Pulse, and of course, the lady of the looters, Cynthia herself. I hope from me to you, you guys are having a beautiful week. But let's go ahead and talk to our crew here today. Let's see how they're doing. And tell us how you're doing in chat, too. How you doing? How you doing? How you been? How you been living? Is everything good over there? I hope so. All right, you're a player, too. What's up, buddy? Welcome another week over here on the LootCast. How's it going?
It's going exceptionally well. It's been a busy week. Gotten a lot of stuff done for over on the channel, a lot of channel work. Got to play some Sea of Thieves this week, which was a good time.
Without
Sadly,
me?
I'm having an issue. No, like never, ever. But no, like I had some. Let's talk about Minecraft. Let's just change subject. Minecraft, I was having some problems because I went to renew my realm because my buddy, who is now basically like a crackhead for Minecraft, because he hit me up. He was like, "Hey man," he was like, "I can't get on the realm." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "It expired," because I paid for like 3 months. I was like 3 months ago. I was like, "I just need to renew it. Give me like 5 minutes. I'll get it back up." Went to renew the realm, and they took like 10 of my magical Microsoft unicorn dollars or whatever, and I waited for my 3 months to renew, and I got stuck in an endless loop on the Switch, and it won't give me the realm. It just keeps saying like, "Oh, there's some problem. We took," and it says in the message, it's like, "Yeah, we got your payment just fine. We just can't give you your realm. So just check back later."
Yeah.
And that
Oh
was
my
like 12
God.
hours ago. So I'm like,
It's not
so I had to
happening.
yeah, so I had to like contact Mojang support and everything to kind of see what's going on with it. So that kind of sucks. Other than that though, nothing really crazy new in the world of gaming. No real crazy pickups except for I did get uh Ninja Saviors for Return of the Warriors, which is basically a remake of
What
a
is
port to the
that?
Super Nintendo. So this is weird. This is a game, and it came with some physical goodies like some stickers and an instruction booklet and stuff. But it was like an arcade game that was unique because it was like 3 screens wide. So it was like ultra widescreen before that
Huh.
was a fashionable thing like back in the 80s. And they ported it to the Super Nintendo, which it's not apparently an easy game to come across now. And I don't know why, but this game is like nowhere except for Amazon. Like I said, I think you might be able to get it on Play Asia too, but like it's not a Best Buy, it's not a GameStop. You're not gonna find it like your local Walmart or anything. It's like $29.99. But I don't know. I love games like that though, that basically port old arcade games or legacy games to the Switch.
Yeah.
Because usually they include a bunch of extra goodies like behind the scenes. That's like, the only reason I bought Night Trap. Night Trap's a horrible game, but it's fun for historical value, right? Because it got like the Senate all upset and all that stuff, like back in the day whenever video game violence was like in that Mortal Kombat era. But anytime there's a game that like ports something really old to a modern system and they include like behind the scenes like developer diaries or little documentaries and screenshots and artwork and all that, I'm all about it. So I'm hoping it's a good game. It looks like a fun game. So beat
Very
'em up.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever even heard of that in any space, but
Look it up later. It looks solid.
the undertone of that too was game developers, if you guys put stickers in it, Josh is there day one.
It's true. Also, is Chris Levi's in here, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw him earlier.
I'm not happy with Chris Levi because he's apparently streamed some Life is Strange 2 last night. And I was editing this morning and I saw his video and I like
Yes.
threw it up for a second. And I saw he did like an unboxing and I was like,
Yeah.
man, I missed out on the first Life is Strange collector's edition. I got the second, what was it, the Before the Storm collector's edition.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna miss out on this one. What if this one's like really good? So I had to go to the Square Enix store and pre-order that today. And I think
Wow.
it'll be shipped. So I'm salty at Chris Levi right now because I was like, I'm gonna slow down on new game purchases this year, just like 1 or 2 a month, and then I was just fear of missing out got me. I was like,
So-
Chris Levi did this to me.
Besides the obsession with the collector's edition, which you have, which is fine, the question that I have tonight for the panel is what's the game you're obsessing about so far in 2020? What's the game so far for you this year?
Everyone's gonna say Cyberpunk because they're good people, honest people.
Not coming right now. Right now, if you
Oh,
were
right
to
now?
look and you were to power on your Switch, it would pop up. If you were to turn on the Xbox, it would beam up. Turn on the PlayStation 4. What's the go-to in 2020 so far?
You missed one.
Missed one.
Yeah, PC.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
We're not
I
PC.
don't think anybody cares about that, do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Are there any other PC gamers here?
I think it's just.
Am
When
I
I-
reading the room wrong?
When I boot it up, Photoshop comes up. So I mean, I don't know.
Boring.
My computer's a work machine. Okay, no,
That's unfortunate.
it is. I
only
I
say
do
that
feel bad.
because my relevant obsession is PC. I've been playing WoW. That's all.
See, and that's what I was about to say. Like, the only thing that will bring me into PC is like I kept saying like, "Ooh, I want to try WoW Classic," and return to the good old days in like 2006. I didn't do it.
Good.
I like the idea of it more than I think the actual playing of it.
So you dodged the question.
Oh, sorry. Game that I'm obsessed with right now. It's just Kakarot. Like, I'm trying to round it out. Like, I'm in the last episode of the Cell Saga, right? So then I've only got the Boo Saga
Oh,
left.
nice. That's pretty
Yeah.
far.
So
Right.
yeah.
So much
So
further
I'm
than me.
well. That's the thing. Like, I got really into it, and then I got sidetracked because I was like, man, I really want to knock out Luigi's Mansion 3. So I beat that this week. That was awesome. I forgot about that. As far as the game I'm obsessed about playing right now, but I haven't done yet, it honestly, it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I really want to play more Tokyo Mirage Sessions. It's like it's like an appetizer for Persona 5 Royal when it drops here in a console, right? Yeah, a nice, just digestible 30-hour adventure. I can get behind that, and plus it helps me curry favor with Dom, and Dom can kick me off the show whenever he wants. So I have to play ball here on the on the LootCast.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend over the last 14 episodes. You have consistently mentioned an Atlas game in some capacity, and
Have I?
every time I have this notion of like, I don't know if Josh is working out anymore. He's like, oh, and then Persona 5 rolls down the corner. I'm like, oh, he just reels me back in. I'm like, oh, he's the best. He needs to be on here all the time.
It just it's weird because like I didn't even get into Atlas games until last year, really, in any significant way, because the only
That's when
experience
you
I had
met
with that
Dom.
prior was oh, seriously, was Dom the same way?
No, I said that's when you met Dom.
Oh yeah,
Just
actually,
last year.
yeah, I think that is about right. But no, like I did Persona 4 Golden, and before that, the only Atlas experience I had was Persona 3 on the PSP, but I
Fair.
lost my save. And that was tragic because I had like 30 hours in that game, and then I lost everything, and I was like, "This is stupid. I'm not going to do this again." But Persona 4 is really good.
Persona 4 it's really good. Right now, if I were to power up my PS TV, which I haven't touched since like 2018, Golden would still pop up, and I know exactly where I am in that game. So
Which part are you at?
I am in the Stripper Tease dungeon, and I'm playing on the hardest level right now, and I hate that dungeon, but I'm under-leveled, and I refuse
okay.
to go back out and re-level up because I just don't want to. So therefore, this year, maybe next year, I will finish it.
Right.
Just got to get past the boss there. She gives me some trouble.
Normally in RPGs, I think prior to Golden, I was really big, like, oh yeah, grinding's awesome. I could sit there and just grind mindlessly for hours, like listen to a podcast or something. But when I got really into Persona 4, I was like really driven almost entirely by the story. Like I didn't want to waste any time grinding. I just wanted to see what each new day would hold and what was going to happen with the characters and everything. I became obsessed with it.
Yeah, and in 2018, I hadn't played the game for about 3-4 years, and I had the same like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, I remember this. So I just kind of I had the same kind of feeling, so I just kind of kept beelining it in the game,
Right.
which eventually made a turn on me, and now I'm not playing it at all. So that's cool
gotcha.
though. That's cool. DBZ for sure. Mr. Monopulse, another week. Welcome back, sir. I know you got a little bit of a cold, but we appreciate you powering through it for us, for them, for you.
And the whole party as well. Yeah, it's not been a lot of gaming this week, man. To be quite honest, I've been just recuperating. Been sick all week.
Yeah.
Little wow at the beginning of the week, but honestly, I just finished it. Been rough.
A little bit of WoW. Little bit of
Very.
WoW.
very little, like the beginning of the week.
So prior to the sickness, what would you say so far is your go-to game so far in January 2020?
I mean, it would be Warcraft. It wouldn't be Warcraft 3. We'll talk about that later. But it would be and I said I would not buy that day. Did not buy that day one. I'm glad I didn't. What they did was actually really dirty, but I still play WoW. That's been it because Shadowlands is coming up sometime this year. I don't know. Every once in a while, WoW is cyclical for me. I'll play for a while, I'll quit for a while, I'll play for a while. So that's what I'm on right now.
I know. I definitely. I get that. I've been that way for the last couple years now. With hey, Poe dropping the host. Thank you, sir. I've been that way a little bit with like Destiny too. When those little expansion hits and stuff, it hits me. Even this last one, I mean, she still goes on about she wasted her money, but it pulled me in. I played about 5 hours, and then I was like, okay, and I haven't touched it since. But I got in my mind, I was like, I feel good, and it's there. I can come back to it anytime.
You didn't get your money's worth because you didn't pay for it.
Hour sounds hour. So moving on to mine over here. So how you been?
Fine. Just super excited just with all the crap that's been going on today in general.
Okay.
Which we'll get to. What I'm excited for right now.
What are you obsessed with is what? What game are you obsessed with right now?
Josh's fault.
It always is.
Monster Hunter Iceborne.
Okay.
What? That's not my fault.
Yes,
That's not
it
my
was.
fault.
Yes, it was.
I got dragged into Monster Hunter. That's
and
why
you
gotta
dragged
put that on,
me
like,
back
Mara and
in.
Sushi.
I've literally been playing it like the last 3-4 days. Like after the first time we played, I've been jumping back in night after night. Yeah, and I've been like slowly just like getting my way back up. It's like, all right, what do I need to do? What was I doing? Let me do like these assignments. I need to get back into Kakarot. What else did I need to finish? What was the other one?
Don't you need to finish Death Stranding?
That's
on the backlog list for her.
I need to get back to that. Yeah, I know.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not fine. But yeah, it's on the backlog for sure.
I gotcha.
What other one was it that? I feel like there was another one that was like on.
Was it?
My
I
list.
guess it wasn't Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
No,
Shot in the dark here.
I'm not playing that. No, are you kidding me?
Did you not like Persona either?
No, I never played it. I've never touched it.
She refuses to play it because she will tell me constantly, like, "Oh, I played it vicariously through you for like 900 hours. I don't need to play it."
But not just
but to be fair, you're doing
like,
that with Kakarot, though, right?
He actually started his own. He started his own game save on his profile.
I could only vicariously live so much that eventually you gotta touch for yourself,
But no, I mean, I did that with Breath of the Wild. Unfortunately, I lived it through him while I was playing Horizon, right? And
I would like to play that again.
Oh, Horizon's so pretty.
Such a good game.
It
coming to PC soon.
It would confuse me when I'd watch him play. What was it?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, and as Link, you have your little paraglider. You'd launch yourself off a fucking cliff and just glide down.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought I could do that with Aloy.
Wait a minute.
I was on a top of a mountain, and mind you, just subconsciously, because I had been watching him play Breath of the Wild for so long, I'm Aloy on top of a mountain, and I just sprint.
Oh.
I fell to my death, and I look at him, I was like, I fucking hate you. I was like, all of that work to get up there, and I just died. That's how I knew I was watching him too much. So when I did go play Breath of the Wild for myself, I didn't get that far because I was like, I felt like I've played this already.
I did. Now, in her defense, I did play
like
every
hours.
moment I was awake and not at work for about 3 weeks straight up until I got all 121
shrines. It felt
shrines.
like 3 months straight.
It was about a month.
Regardless, Persona was never my type of game. I've never really cared for the play style like how it runs. I don't
Amazing.
like. I don't like.
It sounds like you're not
turn-based
really an
styles.
RPG fan.
I mean,
You're more of an action game fan, it sounds like.
yeah.
She only likes RPGs that have like the living grind. I guess like Destiny would be the closest, or Monster Hunter. I think Monster Hunter is probably the closest to that.
Well, when it comes to grinding,
So action RPGs, not
Well,
like
she
turn.
did
Yeah.
spend like 900 hours in Skyrim, so there are games that can
Yeah.
get her in.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, Aloy, Horizon was a good RPG one.
What up, KG?
It
Welcome.
was a massive open world, and when the Frozen Wildlands had come out, that
Yeah,
was
Horizon,
a crazy expansion that I had to get my hands on, and I absolutely loved that expansion.
Yeah.
So there are RPGs that I love. I just can't get into Persona. It was just never one that I liked.
And I think, the reality is JRPGs aren't for everybody. RPGs and JRPGs are two very different things. When you see a
Agreed.
JRPG, it's a JRPG, right? Typically, it's like a Bandai
Right.
game. It's based on an anime, or it's anime-like. A good game recently to kind of bridge that gap that I know Morrow played it, but I'm interested in hopping in still is Code Vein. I think I will add that to my collection at some point.
Ooh, I need to start
Because that
from
kind
the
of
backlog.
bridges the gap of anime, JRPG, and like Sekiro kind of like style gameplay.
Right.
And now with playing Jedi Fallen Order, I was like, maybe I got a little bit of sea legs back in me. Maybe I'll jump in
Fair.
there.
That's another.
That's
one on the
Soulsian.
backlog.
Yeah, so I have been wanting to give that a try. And
I like the Star Wars one more than he does. I can tell because he gets frustrated when he gets lost. It's like, where were we again?
yeah, I don't get frustrated
okay.
at the battles. I get frustrated at the
Grind to get
Metroidvania-ness of it, the necessity to constantly go back to where you just came from. I'm not a big fan
like
of
it.
that. I never really have been.
But see, that's the kind of stuff I like versus what he'll deal with.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's another reason why I got back into Monster Hunter is because you guys sucked me back into it.
Again, I don't think I really did that much. I think that was mainly Morrow and Beck.
It's your fault I
Daniel.
didn't play the first night.
I mean, it's cool though because like you won't have trouble finding people to play with because I've got like 6 friends who are just all about Monster Hunter. They're always like, "Let's play Monster Hunter." And I'm like, "Ooh, I gotta go defrost my fridge. I'd love to play, but I can't." And then I just sort of like slowly back out of the room.
But if it's Sea of Thieves, like you're all in.
See, it's so good. Like
Yeah.
I got a couple of my GameStop buddies into it now.
Oh,
So
nice.
they
So now
one of
I
them
know.
bought Game
Now
Pass
I
last
know who you
month.
betrayed me for.
No, I didn't play with. I have not. Okay. Oh. Well, here's the thing. I really like Persona. Is what I'm getting at here. I think
That's
the real
that
takeaway.
is a mighty fine save. And on that note,
Right.
I will lead off into I am myself, guys, currently playing Tokyo Mirage Session. So I'm about 32 hours deep
I
in
see,
Tokyo Mirage
Josh.
Sessions. I'm doing everything in that game because of the EX dungeon that they added in the game, which is all of the DLC that was in the original game. So I'm playing through that. I also am about 14, maybe 12 hours in Kakarot now. And I've also been doing everything in that game too. The one good thing about watching her play is I can just skip all the cutscenes and just go right back into getting all the side quests done. So that's been a fun time as well. And I also started playing Fire Emblem again on the Switch because it's great. And I played Byleth for about 23 minutes exactly. About 8 minutes to record footage, about another 13 for what I call fun. And I was like, I just want to play Fire Emblem now. So that's what I went and did. And that was a great decision. So that's kind of my 2020 so far. But as my 2020 has been great, Nintendo wants to make your guys' 2020 great as well. And it is starting with a brand new addition to your home that they would love for you to go and pre-order right now. We're not sponsored or anything. It's just a fantastic console. Nintendo, if you want to sponsor us, we would love to. Let's hit us up in the DMs. We'll talk to you. So with that being said, Chris, tell us about this week's news. What's going on with the consoles and the Nintendos and stuff?
I appreciate your tenacity, but I do believe that the way it goes is you give Nintendo money, not the other way around.
Oof.
But Nintendo does give you product you can be proud about. And we are seeing another product come out of the Nintendo catalog, if you will, unveiled by a new tweet by Nintendo today. Basically, we see a hashtag Nintendo Switch system inspired by hashtag Animal Crossing New Horizons is confirmed and on the way. It's going to have unique Joy-Con controllers, a custom design on the back, and a special Nintendo Switch dock. It's the perfect way to start your island life. It's going to be available on 3/13, just a hair before. I think it's 3/20. That about a week before. Get you all prepped. The entire bundle is going to cost you $299.99, but a small price to pay for a very, I'd say, the most unique looking and maybe even arguably the best looking system so far, depending on what your tastes are.
Well, take it away.
I'm not gonna buy it personally.
Get out of here.
I'm gonna stick with.
Get out.
I'm gonna stick with the guy. It's beautiful though. It is beautiful.
Is it?
Get out of here.
I love it.
I called
if
it.
you like Easter a lot, I guess
actually.
it's cool.
I need to say I called it.
It's great.
I've been saying it for months now? Even before like Christmas, that Animal Crossing needs a console edition. I said it from it was I know it was before Christmas or whatever.
It's probably like November.
Dom kept saying, no, they're not going to get it. And if it does, it's going to be a Switch Lite. And I was like, no, it needs to be the actual Switch.
I would have thought Switch Lite too.
I won. It's happening. It looks absolutely fucking beautiful.
I think, like it or not, I think Animal Crossing has become an established main line right up there with The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Mario. I think it is one of their.
It's a huge staple.
Correct.
And they're doing everything right with this console. It looks just absolutely stunning. The second I saw it, I was trying to give Maro the credit earlier. It was Isabel, the actual
Animal Crossing character.
Yeah, she has her own Twitter page. She was the one who originally.
That could be Maro. We don't know.
It could be.
True.
I saw it 20 minutes after it was posted, and I immediately called Dom because I sent it to him, and I was like freaking out, and I was like, "Look at your messages." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Just fucking open your text message." I'm freaking out. I can't believe it's happening. And because it just looks so beautiful. So all day, like last couple hours of my shift, I was like, I need to pre-order this now. It's so far been announced at GameStop and Best Buy for pre-order.
Yeah.
You can do it online for the $2.99. You cannot pre-order yet in person. Typically with Best Buy and GameStop, you're able to go in person and put a small deposit, let's say $5, to reserve your pre-order for when it comes out. I think it's because how it's come out so quickly in the system. I don't think the systems have been updated yet as far as being able to pre-order in person. So I'm going to continue to be checking over the weekend.
Oh, CAG in chat says it's up on Target as well.
But it's Target.com.
Well, yeah.
GameStop, I called them because I wasn't going to leave work just to go try to pre-order in person. I asked if they were doing pre-orders, like normal. They said they can pre-order it in person, but because they're doing it through their online website ordering system, you have to pay the full $2.99 in person. At the moment, they cannot take even a partial payment to reserve it. So I'm assuming it's just too early in the system yet. That's what I'm saying. Maybe over the course of the weekend, it will change. Because even with the SKU number, say at Best Buy, it's not even coming up in the system. It's like this item is unavailable. So it's not even saying, oh, this is the item, but you can't order it yet. It's not showing. So I think it's only on their online catalog at the moment. So we'll see. I'll keep everyone posted. But I'm so excited.
Honestly, Cynthia, I'm not getting it because I don't want it. I just, I'd have to go and sell my old system and then go and buy this. So I'm not going to have two Switches. We have no two Switches. And I'm not.
Well,
but if I were getting in and choosing over a bundle, I would choose this over a bundle any day. Absolutely.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
me, I can do that though, because my current Switch is not an exclusive, it's just a standard original Switch. I can probably sell that to my sister for her kids, because that's the only console she doesn't have. We've done that before for her, where, what did we sell her? The Xbox, or was it the Xbox, right?
I don't know.
The Xbox or PlayStation, I forgot what it was. She was like, hey, you have like 1 million, like, will you sell me one? I was like, yeah, sure, here's an extra. So I can easily do that with the console I have now for my Nintendo Switch. I don't blame you.
I know Josh was over there talking some mad shit with 2 words. He was like, is it really? I guess it was 4 word, but like, I mean, he's wrong. You were talking shit
before I got here?
Me?
No, actually, you were here. He said, I said it's the greatest. And he said, but is it really? And,
wait, which game
we
kind of
just we're talking about the Nintendo Switch. We're talking about this. I said it was the best looking. Yeah.
No.
And you said you didn't like. Let's explore that.
It's very.
Can we mute him from this side?
If you like pastels, it's nice.
Actually, that's kind of why I like it. They've gone a lot of neon colors.
I'd rather hold out for like
Switch.
a Metroid version, right? Like that would be more.
Yeah, but you also have to hold out for fucking Metroid. Good luck.
That's not
They've
happening.
done a Metroid system before. They've done that.
I know.
No.
Yes.
It's not happening. Doom's not happening.
No, there's not going to be a Doom version of Switch. No, absolutely not. Because it's not made.
I'm just happy it happened. It's coming out in like 2 months, like a month and a half, really.
There is a I don't want to call it. It's not an insider thing, but it is a weird workaround where you can help yourself secure pre-orders at GameStop easier.
At GameStop? What? Just ask you to do it since you
no. In a manner of speaking, yes. But like the way it works is if you go to GameStop, right? If you go there and treat it almost like a bank in a weird way. So if you go down there and you drop let's just say $100 on some collector's edition that's slated to come out 2 years from now, right? And you don't intend to buy
2 years.
Yeah, it's something far off in the future, right?
Okay.
Walk us down the journey.
I'm gonna walk you down the journey. So if you pre-order something from your local store in person, if you put $100, then you've just got $100 hanging out in GameStop system, right? Then you see on Twitter one day Nintendo announces, "Oh, we're gonna do a Breath of the Wild 2 special edition Nintendo Switch." You can just call your GameStop and over the phone be like, "Hey, this is Cynthia. Move $50 from that collector's edition I pre-ordered and put it over on that Switch for me," and they'll just do it over the phone.
Well, that's what I figured they would have been able to do. But like I called and asked GameStop, hey, are you guys doing pre-orders right now for the Animal Crossing Switch? And he's like, yes, but we're treating it as if you're ordering it online yourself. We cannot do partial prepayments. Right. Like you have to pay the full $299.
I'm not saying it works for everything, but I'm saying like the Resident Evil 3 Collector's Edition, like you could have done 50 or 25 or 50 or whatever it was on that over the phone. Like I'm not saying like every system is going to work, but like if you find out something drops and you just can't make it into the store and you're worried about all the pre-orders selling out, you can do it over the phone.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Best Buy one. Yeah, I mean that's a good idea.
Thing.
I mean I'm not worried about the Best Buy one like selling out necessarily, because they'll have the pre-orders and then Best Buy typically, especially mine, will always have extras in stock for those that didn't pre-order. Like that's what we did with the Pokemon Sword and Shield one. We had like a good 20 or 30 extra that weren't pre-orders. And that took like a month or so to sell all of them. So I'll be okay there. It's just I feel better when I pre-order it, just knowing that it's safe. But I'm just glad the way it overall came out. Like
I will say this: what's the last time anybody ever really ran out of something and you missed something because you didn't, or you just pre-ordered for so long?
That's happened to me. 7. That happened for my PlayStation 4 Monster Hunter console exclusive, the Japanese one.
Okay,
they had a limited edition.
I've never ran into it personally.
They had a limited edition. What was it? North America release.
Her Sea of Thieves controller. If you didn't pre-order it, you didn't get it.
This one. And I
but is that something that's
Amazon.
very niche? That there's maybe only so many
$200 now.
The Pokemon console that came out for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee,
which I'd imagine be popular.
that ran out. It did come
Enjoy
back in
it.
stock like
You
6
can
months
get it.
later, but the day that they came
Yeah.
back in
I
stock,
think
it
the
was
Goku
it was gone in like
But it's a
13
third
minutes
party.
or something.
This
So
is
Gotcha.
that's a
That's
good
first party.
example.
Goku.
No, that's an official DualShock. That's not a third party.
Is it?
No, he's talking about the orange. It's just orange.
I thought that was third party.
It's just orange.
No, it's not a third party.
But
it is a
it's
Sony
just not
DualShock.
Goku license or Dragon Ball Z license.
No, it's not Dragon Ball license. It's just Goku colors.
Sea of Thieves license.
Your
Uh,
Goku.
I hear
colors.
you. Okay, it's a very nice controller. Someday I'll have it in my collection.
For $200.
Well, you gotta make an omelet.
You know,
Gotta
Sometimes
crack a few
eggs.
omelets.
Look at those unicorns.
Yep.
So, anyways, back to the Animal Crossing thing. I think the colors are great. I think that the actual dock is really cool. I think it's one of the better docks that we have because typically you just get the black docks that also have like some design on them. So typically the black, like the dogs are just black and like they have like the Smash Bros in like white, or they have like Pikachu and Eevee. But they've never been really anything special. This one's completely white, so I think that's really cool. Along with
Josh,
like,
what do you have against
pastel
Animal?
colors.
Against
You've
what?
what do you have against Animal Crossing? Because you've actively talked.
Oh
talked
yeah,
about how you're
okay,
just
yeah. I'll
interested.
go on this
Yeah.
rant again. Okay,
Yeah,
Animal
let's-
Crossing is
How did it hurt you?
it's deceptive. It's a stressful, horrible game, and here's why.
Oh my god.
It runs in real time, right? So there are these timed events, or these only certain times of the day that things happen, and I get that that's cool. I do, but for me personally, I would prefer a game like Stardew Valley, where if I want to pause the game in the middle of winter, right, it's just going to stay there waiting for me for months or years if I wanted to. Meanwhile, in Animal Crossing, I'm going to be out having dinner with a friend, right? I'm going to be out, just doing something social or have some commitment that I'm going to be thinking in the back of my mind the whole time, like, I really need to get back to Animal Crossing, and I'm going to try Animal Crossing when it comes out on Switch. Make no mistake, I'm buying this game, and I'm gonna.
You
hate
know,
it. I can already
Josh,
feel
I
it.
have a solution for
Doesn't
you.
that say more about you than the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
I,
doesn't make my
I have a
criticism less
solution
valid.
for you. You know what
That's
it's
fair.
called, Josh? It's called being a time traveler, and that's an option in Animal Crossing. Okay?
What are you talking about? What are you
You
talking
can
in the
about?
very,
the
in
time.
the
Change
very
my system
beginning.
time?
No, not the system time. Animal Crossing
Oh.
in what was the old console that was in? The very
3DS.
last one? 3DS.
New Leaf.
Newly, thank you. When you start it
what I'm
and
here for.
Isabel comes up and she's like, "Oh, what can I do for you?" And there's like three options. It's like nothing, just, I'm good. The second option is change my character, and the third option is change the date and time. When you hit date and time, you can literally, within the game, not the console, change the date and time. And she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Did I have that wrong? Here, let me update it for you." So if you're
She
in
apologizes
July,
all over herself.
yeah.
Wait,
so
that's
if
a
you're
standard feature?
yes, and if
never
you're in
noticed that.
July and you
Still
want to be in
sounds good.
fucking winter and it be Christmas, guess what? Let it snow, bitch. Like, you can do that.
Guess what? Let it
It just
snow.
sounds like too many steps,
That was fucking
I
good.
don't wanna have to
It's not a lot of
think about
steps.
it.
You literally do it when you load the game.
Because that also means that but then I'm still having to keep track of like real time events I miss.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
have to go out and
God.
do
Then you just
research.
change the count. You just change it.
I'm
I mean,
just
the only thing bad that used to happen in the game is the town would start a rumor that you were a time traveler.
So
That was it.
Kinda awesome, actually.
random
Right?
random question,
What is
and we're gonna talk about figures and numbers and stuff as the show goes on. But Josh, question for you: how many units of a game would you have to sell to deem it extremely successful or successful? How many copies of a game?
Yeah.
Just
I
throw out a
mean-
number. If you were to say if the game sold this, it'd be regarded as successful. Highly successful, extremely successful. whatever.
Highly. We're talking like heavy hitters, like things that you're just like, yes, that was
this
not
is
mitigated
A
hit for
plus
the generation.
game.
A heavy hitter, yeah.
Maybe this is too much. Does 10 million sound too crazy? I'm guessing like
that's-
10% of whatever the console install base is.
That's a crazy number. Okay.
Okay, let's just say
try again.
let's try again. Let's bump that down 2 to 5 million. I think
Well,
that's how many
that's-
PS2s were in existence? 140 million, something like that.
Yeah, about yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
140
reasonable to say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there were a lot of PlayStation.
So-
2s out.
So wait, no. I'm getting a point here. Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Hold on. So the point I'm trying to make is, 3DS
Mhm.
sold 72 million units over all of its life, Animal
Yes.
Crossing New Leaf, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like it. I didn't play it.
Loved it.
How come
But-
you're not getting railed then?
But because I tried it,
He's
But-
I have it. It's over there.
but it sold 18.5 million copies on the 3DS.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Why are you not surprised?
That goes over your
Me?
exorbitant amount.
You said 2 to
Yeah.
5 million, and it was over 18 million.
Okay. I'm sorry. What are we debating here? What do I have to magically like the game now, or are we just pointing out that it's popular?
it's
No, I think you have to like the game now. So
Yeah, I think that's what we're getting at. Yeah.
Help me.
so. Buy it.
Oh,
That would be like the same thing as me just being like, here's the thing. You don't have any idea how many copies of Persona 4 sold? Just buy it, Cynthia. Just play it and love it.
No,
It's not for
no,
you.
no.
I mean, that's
me.
fair.
But I don't
It's
criticize
everybody's
you.
cup.
You wait.
Okay.
You like Minecraft?
I love
you'll-
Minecraft.
Then you'll fucking like this.
Maybe I'll like this. Minecraft is a chill game. I don't
Minecraft
have
is
a
a
landlord breaking my
game.
neck in
No.
Minecraft.
It's cute, but it's different.
It's not different anymore. The cool part is with
A lot of
the
finger wagging happening.
with the new Animal
she's very
Crossing,
passionate about it.
Horizon, they've done a lot of like new things that you can do within the world. So you get to
Right.
craft a lot of your own items. You need
Yeah.
a hammer? Fucking make it. You want to make a tent? Make it. What do you need to make a tent? You need cloth. You need wood. How the fuck do you get cloth? I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. I mean, so
it's more recipe based.
kind of like
sort of?
formula based. Yeah.
Yeah, formula based.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Okay.
There's stuff that you won't know how to build, and so I think you unlock that stuff as you go. I am assuming the time traveler feature is still going to be available, maybe locked at the very beginning. This is something speculated, or that I'm speculating because a lot of people, because of the time exclusive items, like some are only released during like the holiday seasons, like Christmas and things like that.
Seasonals.
Yeah, you don't want to be a time traveler like from the very beginning, because then you're just gonna like fast forward to time and like unlock them and then just go to current time and people be like, what
Also-
the hell. So it might be locked in the very beginning, but I think it's something that they'll release or give you access to.
Right.
Probably, I wouldn't say a full calendar year, but probably after the new year.
It really sounds to me, Josh, like if you had some value, you would love this game. That's what I'm getting, because it's more around the anxiety. of missing
It's an
something
incredible. It's
or
not. The game has
attending.
no chill. Okay,
Yeah,
it's dressed up in these cutesy graphics that was just otherwise, and I just think it's a fart. But you don't have to sell me, Cynthia. I'm buying the game. It's pre-ordered at my local GameStop.
Then
I'll tell you what's
aren't
gonna
getting the console? That's
Why
what I'm
would I
trying to
get-
sell
I
you
have
on.
2 Switches.
Oh, so that's
I
where
don't need a
this has
third
been going the whole
Switch.
time, was buy the console.
You were trying to drive it towards a third Nintendo Switch. That's even worse.
I mean,
Oh, man.
I'm about to buy.
pretty,
I'm
though.
about to have 4.
So think
what?
about so
I'm about to have 4 of
here.
them.
Whoa.
yeah, but you're both avid players. I am a single entity, right?
Thank
Sell
you.
your other ones.
But think about here's your
are they
value
limited
proposition,
edition ones?
Josh. You go and you buy one of those little spindle things that like spins around your items that you're trying to display, and maybe
Spindle?
even get one of those little bird
Lazy
crane
Susan.
things for your
Bird cranes. What the fuck are you talking about?
bird crane thing for your camera, and suddenly your camera's pointing down and it's slowly rotating. You can control it.
I can
And-
get that shot.
Are you talking about like a
I've got a-
fucking Ouija
I've got a
board where it like
motorized
tells
lazy
you
Susan.
play this one?
There you go. See, I mean, it would look great in that shot. I think that video would do wonders. You should probably buy it so we can move on to the next news subject today.
Real quick, I'm gonna derail
you
this
know
for a
what?
second because I thought it was funny. Josh, are you
Okay.
recording yourself from behind you? Because that camera's been like throwing me off this entire time.
No. Like, so I've been filming from that angle, and I just forgot to get it out of the way because I've been filming all week like crazy. So that's why it's just back there.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
okay. I didn't
Someone
know.
asked me about Sea of Thieves.
Well, speaking of Josh buying a 4th Switch,
Yes,
that'll just add on to the outstanding
Do it.
and wonderful sales of the Nintendo Switch. It is official. The Nintendo Switch has outsold the Super NES. These numbers
What?
brought to you directly from the Game Looters household. They have contributed more sales to the Nintendo Switch than anybody else out there. They continue to show that support each and every day. The Nintendo Switch has now sold a total of 52.40
God.
million units as of December 31st, 2019. Low golf clap for that. Low golf clap for Nintendo
52.8?
there.
Is that what you said?
52.48. So 52.48 million units sold. The original Switch, which includes the latest model with the improved battery life. This is, segmented out of the light sales is what I'm getting from this. Accounts for 47.3 millions of overall units, while the Switch Lite, which launched in September last year, has already reached 5.19 million units sold. Nintendo noted that sales during its last financial quarter were particularly strong, with 10.8 million consoles sold in this period alone, which is outstanding considering what we're in year 3, year 4 of the Switch.
About to be year 3 in March.
That's insane. This has led to the company to increase its sales projections for the rest of the financial year from 18 to 19.5 million by the end of March. The total confirms that the Switch has now surpassed the lifetime sales of Nintendo's most popular home console, the SNES, which originally launched in 1991. That's an incredible milestone, actually. When you sit back and think about it, SNES, NES, SNES, that's a household, friggin' everybody had that. And so one could assume everybody's got a Switch. I didn't either, Josh. I didn't, but you knew a household that did if you didn't have one.
Yeah.
Or maybe you had one. I don't know. You were shaking your
Super
head like you
Nintendo?
maybe. Yeah. Did you have one growing up? I was a Genesis household. So I had a buddy. I went to his house to play the SNES. Hey, we were poor. We got by with the Genesis.
The Genesis was always cooler than the Super Nintendo, even though
I think it must have been the grass is greener, because I always thought the Super NES was cooler.
I went over very frequently to friends and cousins' houses to play Genesis, and I never was like, I wish my Super Nintendo was a Genesis. Never had that feeling, not once.
I never wanted to be a Genesis, but I was always jealous of the games my Genesis friends got to play. The X-Men game, when that came out,
that's
it didn't
fair.
come to Super. I was real mad.
That's the arcade one? You're talking about the arcade one?
No, I'm talking about the one that had a Gambit, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Storm.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't that good, though.
The
arcade
one Nightcrawler, and I'm a dude who has a tattoo of Nightcrawler.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
A very upset 8-year-old.
But let me up your game with DC. Did you play Batman Forever? Just throwing it out there.
I never did. Wait, wasn't Batman Forever the horrible one?
It's so terrible.
movie.
It's a game that it was one of the only new games I got for one Christmas, and I was like, I love this game. It's the best.
We could probably do a whole video just on bad Super Nintendo games we got, because I'll tell you, one of the ones that I got for Christmas that looked good on the surface but was Home Alone.
Super Nintendo
game.
Did not have Altered Beast.
It did not have Altered Beast. It didn't have Comic Zone. What else did it not have?
Comic Zone, yeah.
Obviously you didn't get any of the Sonics. You never got Golden Axe.
Yeah, but does anybody truly love Sonic? Like truly love Sonic? Like if
Sonic 2's good.
If a gun got put to your head and you're like, pick one game forever, they're like Mario, just pick any of them, and then Sonic, would you be like,
okay,
Sonic?
You realize Mario 2 is in that list, which is arguably either an acquired taste or terrible.
Mario 2 is incredible.
That's what I said, an acquired taste or terrible.
It's pretty good.
Some people hate that game.
It's good from Jump Street. It's not an acquired taste. It's a really good game. You had Birdo. Where would we be without Birdo?
This is true. Birdo did make it. There is her comeback in
that was a weird character.
Mario Advance, Super Mario Advance, right?
Oh yeah.
Which is very memorable for me.
With the Switch, Nintendo's tactics with the Switch, they have no intention of shutting the Switch down. We're already passing the SNES numbers. What do you think we're going to end up? It's already at.
I think we'll see.
Do you think we can hit 100?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I do. So I don't think I put it in the news article this week, but one of the things too is since the release of the Nintendo Switch Lite, which came out early November, right? Is that right? Was it early November?
Which one?
The Switch Lite, October. Well, whenever it came out, right? So they have sold about 5.5 million units of the Nintendo Switch Lite. So that's also takes up a piece of their 50 some odd million, because those numbers are only through the 31st of December. So that takes up a little bit of theirs. So they finished around 47 mil with standard Switches, and then now they have the Switch Lite. So I think as we continue to push forward, I think we will see 100 mil very, very easy because they're not stopping with their software. I mean, they just released a brand new Switch we're about to get. It's Animal Crossing. So the year is going to start with them very soon. We're going to see a direct coming very soon to see what other software we have coming from them. They just released a whole map out of what their year looks like based on what they've already kind of put out there. So I think
that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think it's going to be a very good year, and I think they will probably hit that 20 mil goal this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a stellar generation for Nintendo. I honestly, I hope that the form factor never goes away. It's so good. But what I think is going to happen, I think you're going to see them continue to prime all of their like AAA first party IP to be just DLC, add-on content machines, right? Because you're gonna get it with Pokemon, right? Because they're gonna be releasing, what was it, like a month free of, what was it, Pokemon Home or whatever?
Pokemon Home?
What the bank? Help me out here. I'm not.
Pokemon
I
Bank?
mean, it's Pokemon Home. Pokemon Bank.
Whatever it is, they're gonna start charging for that, right?
Correct.
Right. So they're gonna charge for that. There's definitely gonna be DLC that comes out for Animal Crossing. So they're gonna be charging for that. They're already doing a season pass for Pokemon on top of the bank. What else?
2 fighter pass for Smash Brothers.
Right.
Like Fire Emblem DLC.
Right, yeah, Fire Emblem. So if you've got like 60, 70, 80 million, probably 100 million of these consoles in the wild by the end of its generation, and they keep this brilliant strategy of releasing like one really good game a month at a minimum usually, and it's going to have a bunch of DLC, like they're going to be making money hand over fist. Like I would be curious to see if it approaches the same level of profitability that they got from the DS, because that thing printed me. I want to see if the same thing's going to happen with the Switch by the end of its life.
Just look at the Nintendo eShop. If you remember the DS, it was a dumpster of just, My Little Pony's Greatest Adventures, right? If you look at the eShop today, that's a lot of what's on there. There's a game today that I saw on Twitter, 14 cents. They're basically any indie developer saying 14 cents, buy my game. You have to spend 14 pennies to buy an eShop game. So, I mean, it's already there. Right. And DS sold what, 100 and some odd million, 104 million, something like that, 105 million consoles. So they're halfway there, and they haven't even hit their 3 years yet with this console. It took the DS, the DS XL, DS Lite, 9 different iterations of one console to get there.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Speaking of iterations of console too, what up, Kazoo? Welcome to the stream. Speaking about consoles too, so they in the article too they did, or not the article of the financial report that they had, because this is all based off an investors call that they did for their fiscal year coming to an end. They also did say, and they did put it out, I think I saw it on Twitter that someone else reposted it, but they did say that they're, at least to their investors, and I said this in chat earlier, and they do have a tendency to lie. Unfortunately, they do lie because they try to keep everything very close to their chest. But they did say to their investors that there is no planned console in addition to their current family of Switches this year. So people who are holding out for the Pro or whatever iteration, there won't be one. And I've said on multiple occasions, I don't think there needs to be regardless. But if you were holding out this year, you may want to not.
Yeah, I have my friend. She was planning on waiting off until possibly the summer, because that's when she assumed that the Switch Pro would be announced and released. One, there was no confirmation of that happening, so she was skeptical because she was like, I need another Switch, because her boyfriend was going to get Doom. She wants Animal Crossing, of course, in March, and they're like, fuck, it's all in the same month. What am I supposed to do? Do I wait until the summer for the Pro, or do I get the Switch now? Now she's all for the Animal Crossing one that got announced today. She's like, take my money.
Absolutely.
Like, she's like, fuck the summer. Like, this is happening now. But in the same sense, I'm kind of glad that there's no Pro, because, I mean, I know that he would probably want to buy it anyway. There's no point. I mean, at that point, I don't need 5.
It will come,
house.
just
not this year.
Not this year.
At that point, you will be getting rid of your light and normal one to get
consoles launched this year. It's gonna come this year.
But would it though? Because Nintendo likes controlling the They released the original Switch in March, right? So if
if it isn't technically like this year, it will be literally immediately within that like Q1 2021.
I believe that
I can
more.
see it maybe, but
I believe that more after all of the buzz has gone away from PS5, Xbox Series X, and then a January, February, March rolls around, and they say, "Hey, Josh, you want Metroid? Here's Metroid and the Switch Pro." Right? They could do something like that, and they would control all the press, all the PR. They would control all the YouTube, like they would control all of it for that subset of time, and then they would sell whatever the next version of their console is.
The fact that they came out so recently with the Switch Lite, it's just too soon for the Switch Pro that I feel that it would hurt them negatively if they were to release it now.
I'm still holding on to hope. I still think Switch Pro this year.
No.
I'm with you. I'm hoping.
Shatter your hopes and dreams.
I think it's
It's a no.
possible.
It's a no.
I still think there's a good.
I mean, summer's still wide open. Other shit's not coming up to the fall.
I mean,
so.
I was the one who called the Animal Crossing.
You also
on
called
the
them liars.
Switch.
Dumb. So
That doesn't
And
exactly
mine
make me
happened.
Nostradamus,
Mine
though.
happened.
They have made Animal Crossing systems before, and it's a AAA franchise. Okay?
But that's
You're
why.
not
But
assuming
no.
stuff,
Dom
okay?
was all about it's happening on the Switch Lite, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Anyways, we're not bringing back that. We just moved on to the next subject.
Yeah, let's talk about Dom.
But real quick though, so one thing that I was thinking too, and this thought just came to me. So with the new consoles coming, they're obviously not going to kill off the Xbox One, the PS4, right? That they probably have another 2 years after these new consoles launch. What if we don't even see a Switch revision or Pro until those get killed off? Because when you are dumbing down a game graphically for these systems, you might as well do it for the Switch as well. It would make sense in
I would
way.
say that if they're gonna do that because their cycle is different, let's just say it does do that. Let's say we're winding down towards the end of that cycle. They will do it 6 months to a year before that happens because they're on a different cycle. By that point, they'll be at what, like 4 to 5 years on this cycle. That would be a perfect time to refresh basically the Switch as a unit itself. That would be my prediction in that scenario.
Best case, within the next 18 months, we see a Switch Pro. Worst case, if we don't, we're just going to see a Switch 2 at this point. Because there's not a point. There's not a point.
Right.
Again, unless
the Switch 2 is the Switch Pro.
Unless certain developers are saying, I won't make a game for this system that prints money, Nintendo. And then they'll say, okay, well, I guess we need to come up with more stronger hardware.
On the flip side of that, there is going to be a certain point, though, where the hardware threshold does kick in. And I don't know what point that would be. Of course, you do have a good proposition there with it. The previous Gen 4, what have you, will still be alive for a while. So they may not have that pressure immediately, but eventually there will be that pressure. It's like, we're moving on. And pointing it back to that. I mean, you have to understand when people start getting acclimated to having ray tracing, to having XYZ, there will be that, I think, pressure to see a move forward, even if it does print money. They want to print it with a different denomination.
And the last thing that I'll leave off on in this really good dialogue that we're having about the Switch is just highlighting how many units of games that they've sold throughout their almost 3-year lifetime now, just to kind of put it in perspective with everyone thinks that they rely on third parties, which, they have played nice this generation. They're doing very swell. A game that I'm very interested, Darksiders Genesis, is coming out very soon. It's around the corner. I think it looks fantastic. It's not a game that I would typically be excited for, but we played it at E3, and I'm like, I want this game, and I want it on the Switch. And I'm excited for games like that to come out. But real quick, so their best-selling game to date is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That game prints money. It's at 22.96 million units.
Blows my mind.
22.96 units, which is crazy. So again, Josh had this perspective earlier. He said a very successful game sells 2 to 5 million copies. And some games that people hold very dear in their hearts never even break 500,000, right?
Right.
So the fact that this has almost 23 million, and these are all $60 games. Nintendo doesn't devalue their games. These are $60. So every time they sell you a 9-year-old game, they're selling it to you for full price, and they're gonna continue to do that until Mario Kart 9 comes out, right?
Right.
Smash Bros. Ultimate, 17.68 million pieces of software they've sold. So between those two, that's almost 40 million. These are like Rockstar numbers at this point. And when I say Rockstar, I mean like Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Just to finish it out, Mario Odyssey, 16.59, and Legend of Zelda, a launch game, 16.34.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about some other ones that are going to be here. I guess we talk about that right now, don't we, Mono?
We absolutely do, because coming up in the future, and one of the long-awaited games to come over to the Switch, if you will, for whatever backwards reason you have for waiting, The Outer Worlds by the Obsidian developer will be coming to Switch on, looks like it's going to be early 2020, with a release date of
March 6th.
Yeah, March 6th here. So the game is finally getting its Switch port that was announced in July last year before an investor call that confirmed it would arrive early this 2020. Now, however, we know the exact date. Its debut on Switch will follow versions that it's already come out for. Of course, it's been out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One since October of last year. But I will say this, Switch people who pick it up for the Switch are going to have a shorter wait for that DLC that's also been announced as well. So there, with your give, you got a little bit of take. And the third parties are prolific on the Switch. I mean, people want them over there. They want them. They want them.
They want them.
Buy them. Are you going to get it on Switch, even though you played it and it was like on Xbox or PS4 or what have you? Is that going to be a Switch purchase for you? Well, it's not, because it's digital only, right? That's the whole controversy. Digital.
Yep.
That's where they lost me on a personal
That's the reason
level.
I don't want to get that Call of Juarez.
There was another game that did that with, not them, but that happened for another game recently. I forget what it was. Oh, Fallout 76. That's what it was. People bought the digital deluxe, or bought the deluxe edition. There was a freaking piece of cardboard inside of the case.
It's like the worst thing ever.
It's a little freaking weird. I mean, if you're going out of your way to buy a game and you're buying it physical, are you buying? I mean, ultimately, are you buying the case?
Well,
since everything is like halfway done anyway, and you got to get a day one patch, aren't you just kind of buying the case?
No.
Pretty much.
No.
Are
You don't think so?
Are you sure? Can you play that game day one without the patch?
I mean, you probably can play some version of it, yeah. Because they have you have to think
Depends on the game.
You have to think if your Switch is offline, like maybe you don't have internet connection, right? I mean, it would have to be printed on the box that if you don't download day one patch, you can't play it. Or else, I guess it's just a return. That's a day one return.
Yeah, they don't print that.
But tying that back into Outer Worlds, though, the fact that they made so many people wait for so long to not have a physical is a slap in the whole Nintendo Switch owner community's face. It's a terrible decision by Obsidian, and Xbox owns them. Really? Pay up. Put it on the Switch.
The only do we have 64 gig carts yet? Has that been confirmed, or is that something that's just in the works? I know that The Witcher was on a 32 gig cart.
It's in the works.
Maybe that's the only thing that stopped them.
But would Outer Worlds really? Would it really demand a 64 gigabyte card?
I mean, I think they said the install size for that game was like 40 gigs, wasn't it?
So I just have to compare it over to a game that was very Witcher 3. I mean, that has 2 expansions on top of the full game.
A last gen game, wasn't it?
It depends on what version. So I can't get the numbers here. PC for Outer Worlds had a 40 gigabyte install. For PS4, it had a 20 gigabyte install. I'm not sure. I guess maybe the other 20 was on the disc. And Xbox One had a 36.78 gigabyte install. So all of those fall below the 40 threshold. However, PC, depending on how they are compressing or what have you, it does go over 32.
But that's what I was going to bring up. Compression is a thing. They're going to have to compress it. It's not coming over with the same textures and everything else that Xbox and PlayStation have. So when they compress it down, they could probably get it south of 30. For sure, without question.
So interestingly enough, the PC version having the largest download also had a day 0 gigabyte patch. It was ready to play. So 40 gigs is really where you stand with that game. Out the box, out the gate. Everything else had, give or take, a handful more file size depending on what platform.
Yeah. And again, just in comparison, if you look at Witcher and you look at Outer Worlds is it's a unique looking game, but I would say Witcher's still a better looking game if we were just to compare the two. So
For sure, that could be argued, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean the textures are comprised of more data. That Witcher 3 came out when?
2015.
Yeah. It's an older game. And I'm not saying it's not. I don't know. I'm just making a speculation.
No, yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't have anything to back this up with. But it being an older game, it going through different ports, several ports along the way. I mean, it was ported. It's on PC. It's on XYZ. It's been around for 2015. There's been Steam editions. There's been Game of the Year editions. Each time that those releases are done, I'm sure that different compression ratios are used, or XYZ. Different tricks for upscaling is used. XYZ doesn't necessarily mean, even if it does look better, it's less or necessarily more data there as well.
What I'd be interested is, once that date rolls around, is to see what the total install size ends up being. And I think if it does end up being south of a realistic, being able to be held on a cartridge, that's going to be a rough look for them. And again, we're a very small, a tiny, minuscule little piece of the community, right? That we're just collectors, and we wanted to play it for 10 minutes and then put it on our shelves kind of thing. We're a very small part of it, but, I just think it is nice for this style of game that is unique to the Switch, that not a lot of people probably are going to buy this game like they did on the PS4. It's on Game Pass, right? So a lot of people are buying this game to have it in their collections, because in 10 years, when you're talking about your Switch collection, it'll probably be one of the more sought-after games that it's not going to exist.
I have a question, though. Do we have any likelihood of limited run physical release if it does? I don't know the rules on that. But I don't know, Cynthia, Josh, if you, because I know limited release did like the Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII combo release onto a cartridge. Is there any way that a third party could step in and maybe do a physical, like actual physical release? Because that's Square Enix. Either way you look at it, that's an expensive license.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Produce.
Just because, at least on a couple of occasions, I've been super long. Like, I thought Turok, the remaster, was never going to get a physical release, because why would they do that? That's like a Nintendo 64 game. That's not going to get a physical release. Then the other did a release of it. And then Final Fantasy 7 and 8, I don't even think that was limited. I think that was just.
Was that really? I think you're right.
Because it is a Play Asia. I know you can get it there. I don't know if it was limited.
Maybe it wasn't. But there have been titles on limited release to come over too. So I just wondered, maybe if the demand is high, quote unquote high enough, even if that is 10,000, 20,000 people, whatever it may be. Do you think that could be an option?
I mean, it can always be an option. I don't think it's going to happen though. This is how they save money. Just to release it digitally, there's no reason to have a physical copy. It costs more money to actually make the software and everything to go on the cartridge than it does for them to just, hey, here, download my game for the same $60 price tag, right?
But at the same time,
profit, of course,
but at the same time, they're still they're still acquiring the polyurethane and printing a sleeve.
Yeah,
it's almost a little ridiculous.
It's just, also plastic, for the actual whatever. But still, it's just, I don't think it's gonna happen. Not for Outer Worlds anyway. It's a first time run game. It's not like The Witcher. It's not like Pokemon. It's not like Animal Crossing, where it's been around long enough for it to dictate and require a physical copy for game collectors.
Well, this is a classic Bethesda move. It's but the thing is it's owned by Microsoft. Point, right? I mean, it's not Bethesda. They worked on a Bethesda product, but this seems like a classic Bethesda move again. Fallout 76 was the one to kind of pull this shit the first, and it didn't go well then. But I would say that over Fallout, probably Outer Worlds has a more niche following. Either way, it's not a Fallout. It's just not. Even if it plays similar to. It feels more like BioShock to me than a Fallout, even if it's not even BioShock. But I'm
I
not
would
even a
agree with
physical. I'm not even a physical collector, but like I could see getting upset with it. Like to me, it's like whatever. I'll probably get a digital anyway. But
And
still,
for people like me,
rough.
they're losing out on that money. I would have bought it.
Right?
I'm not now. I already own it
Liar.
digitally on Game Pass for nothing. It's part of my
If I
subscription.
could find it on sale, like sub $20, maybe, but not $60 for digital. That's
No.
a hard pass for me.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if it comes on an eShop sale for like dirt cheap, I mean, but at the same time, to be honest, there's been eShop sales, and there have been like the Resident Evil collection. Eventually, I want to add Zero, the one that has 4, 0, whatever, to my collection,
Right,
and
4,
it's
5, and 6,
been
yeah.
like $6 on the eShop, and I've been like,
Really?
nah, I'll just it was in December,
missed that
and
one.
I was just like, nah, I'll wait, because the reality is I know I'm gonna jump in, play an hour,
and then
maybe
Right.
2. I'll be like, oh, I love Resident Evil, it's good. And I'm like, I can't wait till they make the next one, and then I'm gonna close it or delete it because it takes up room off of my Switch digitally. I've gone through my Switch and I've deleted all my digital titles. I'm like, I don't play these, nor do I need them just sitting there. So
So Dom, I kind of actually got their feedback a little bit. What do you think about? Do you think that like a third party like Limited Run could ever print off? Like, let's say you can fit on the cart. Let's say it can be compressed. Do you think that maybe somebody could swoop in on the outside and say this is a limited run, or do you think that because it's Xbox, because it's Obsidian, it will not be touched and sent out? Do you think that's a possibility or no?
I think because of the Xbox factor, I don't think so. Typically, when limited run comes into play, it's for developers that they just really can't afford the ability to produce, or to, they can't even afford plastic to put in a store to have a sleeve. You know what I mean? That's typically the type of
the reality.
games that limited run and what's the other one called? It's like limited run, but there's a few companies that they do that.
Oh, like super rare?
Yeah, super rare games, and they do it for low print, and they do it for whatever, and they partner with the developer, and they get the games out there. But because of they are owned by Xbox, I think if we do get it physically, it'll be by them some point in the future. But I highly doubt it.
Not for a Switch console like that. That's to me just seems
honestly
too
weird.
complicated.
Do you think that this undermines a little bit of those speculations out there, the Xbox Nintendo factor? Supposedly, like, we want xCloud, we want to see Xbox and Nintendo, we want to see Xbox games on Nintendo.
This
And
could be
that
just
whole,
an
like,
Obsidian call.
Yeah.
But really?
it's
Xbox
another-
got all the money in this. Obsidian don't
Yeah.
have the money in this. They're the publisher. They're the one that's printing.
Okay, here's the last thing, and this just hit me. Maybe the game just didn't sell well.
Outer Worlds?
Maybe the game just didn't sell well, and
No.
they're saying, because their Game Pass, right? If every Game Pass owner, I'm sure, didn't buy the game,
Or didn't
so
download it?
maybe it
I
did.
just come up like 5 of us will furiously research real quick. Like,
No,
I'm gonna call
so
No, I
This-
don't, but I am
this is
curious
my-
now.
this
I mean, I'm just throwing
this
it
is
out there.
my
I don't know.
theory. Because it's an Xbox owned game. Yeah, they'll let other providers port it, but digitally only. Because why else would they pretty much give the rights away for other companies to have it as a physical copy?
I don't know. I don't know if it goes that deep though.
I think it does. We just don't see it that deep.
You guys got figures over there?
I'm not finding figures off the top of my head, but I can see where, quote unquote, outperformed expectations, quote unquote, critical and commercial success. Commercial success exceeding expectations. So I didn't get numbers, but it seems like whatever it did was better than anybody projected.
I'm going to keep my statement saying that Xbox is not giving the right for other systems like Nintendo to print a physical copy because they don't want them making more money than they are. I mean, in a digital
That
only,
might be the case.
Yeah, in a digital only, say, contract, whatever, they're like, all right, you can port our game, but this is how
They
much
get
we're
most of the
making,
money.
right?
Yeah.
But then
And
at that
so-
point, they wouldn't even put the piece of plastic in the store.
Well, they
Right?
can for their own console because they're still 100% making the profit. A digital only port, they can still get some of the profit. And then Nintendo's like, okay, well, how can we maximize our profit back in return? Well, let's just not make a physical print, so we're not investing in that material. And whatever we get digitally, I mean, that's just
maybe it costs more to make than they expected, and they got to take some nickels and dimes back from giving you a cart.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's purely a money scheme.
That's a perfect transition. Speaking about money schemes, a lot of people out there think that Pokemon Home is trying to take their money.
Poor Josh.
What's going on with Pokemon Home? People are saying, if you're a Pokemon fan, Game Freak they want to take your money. They want to charge you $900 to play Pokemon. Oh no!
Before the segue, Monopole's gonna be real with you. I saw Dom of the Game Looters fucking lighting some people butt mad on Twitter.
What?
saying y'all too poor to afford $1.33. And I was right there like, ooh, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but your boy was trending. I was trending on Twitter for that day.
Yeah. Some of those people, I was like, I don't know who these people are. He has done stirred the shit pot real good. I don't know. I've been in and out of consciousness this whole week.
Oh my god!
But there is a lot of controversy surrounding Pokemon Home Cloud Storage Service that is going to launch this February for $3 of your hard-earned dollars a month. Details about how Home will work were released in a new blog post from the company today. Essentially, people can use their phones and mobile devices to store Pokemon from the old Pokemon Bank and transfer them into Pokemon Switch games as long as those Pokemon are supported in the newer games, of course. Support for Pokemon Go is in development as well. There is also a version of Pokemon Home that lives on Nintendo Switch, but it will only support Switch games including Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Beware though, once a Pokemon is transferred to the bank and into another game, it cannot go back. No takesies backsies on these Pokemon. Although Pokemon Home will be free to all players for the first month, the premium plan is what Nintendo is trying to sell. Customers who choose to use the basic free versions of Pokemon Home won't be able to transfer Pokemon from the bank system. That means players with Pokemon from 3DS and other titles will not be able to move them over to the Switch titles. Free versions will only allow 30 Pokemon to be deposited to Home, while the premium version expands to a whopping 6,000 Pokemon can be transferred over. Having a basic plan effectively changes how trading works with Home 2. The company will charge mobile users $2.99 a month, $4.99 for 3 months, or $15.99 a year for support. The information is depicted in more detail if you get out there on the internet. But I got to tell you, I paid $14.99 for WoW for 1 month. $15.99 for a whole year of service is insane. I cannot, honestly, here's going to be my takeaway because I'm about to piss my pants. But I will say this. Reading over your Twitter thread, it is incredible to me how entitled people are.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to say this. Look, I know not everybody has money. Those servers cost, in the bare minimum, not even the people servicing them, not even the people who wrote them and programmed them, not even the people who maintain the service, just the kilowatt hours it takes to keep the lights on in the building where it exists costs money. And to expect a service to be rendered for X number of years without paying anything is absolutely an absurdity to me. And not only that, you got all the people involved that have to feed their children too. So $60 a month, $30 for an extra game, $15.99 a year for a thing, and maybe you had to pay for Bank 2. Honestly, you cannot complain about the prices of Nintendo services. Their online service is like $20 a fucking year. That's insane. That's a great price. In the world of gaming, that's insane. And the same can be said here. Take it away, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I want to start with your player 2. Why are you making a face? It's $20.
I would say $20 a year is completely appropriate for such a lackluster online service.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's not.
I agree.
So you're like, it's an incredible savings. It's like, yes, but at what cost, Mono?
It is. It is true. The phone app is absolutely Jesus Christ. Like, I have no use for this. It's actually just like
there's no headset port on the Pro controller.
There's not. It is not. Nintendo is absolutely in the year 1950. It's not even in the current century. It's bad. But for the simple, like, you got to think about it. Like, you pay what is PlayStation Plus or whatever online, whatever
like
PlayStation
60.
Go.
You're paying 60
a year. You get a bunch of free
Yes.
games, XYZ. You don't sans the games, sans the connectivity, bare minimum. Well, sans the like the vocal, the grouping and
VoIP.
chat. Just bare minimum connecting through online services. $20 a year. I don't feel like it's a bad deal. That's like $2 a month, something like that. I mean, I don't know what the exact is, but it's not a lot. It's less than $2 a month, actually. And to me, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on it. It is a terrible, absolute garbage. Like, they're the worst out of all for that price.
They shut down the entire Wii Online service? Yes. It released in 2006, Red. You gotta let go. But your player too. Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts, but I want to get your thoughts on this first before I bulldoze.
Just about people being upset about the pricing for it.
Just overall, their feels, the pricing, the fact that Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Nintendo are charging for such a service.
I mean, I think it's reasonable to charge for it. And honestly, from what I saw from the pricing, it didn't look to be outrageous. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say everyone's entitled for being irritated that they have to pay for it. But I mean, did they set a precedent? Because I don't remember how the previous bank system worked or anything. Did you have to pay for that? Or was
the previous bank system on the 3DS was $5 a year. And it didn't have, the only function that it had was you transfer Pokemon from whatever game A to bank. You transfer from bank to whatever game you want on the 3DS.
Right.
This one has additional functions. None of that. It was just a transfer, a box to a box. That's all it did, and it was $5 a year. They didn't say any. They didn't have any conversations besides this announcement prior to this of any expectations.
Right. And that's the other thing that I would say is what they're offering now. Does it have a demonstrable feature set advantage over what was in place before? And the other thing that I would have to consider too is like, what's the user base that's going to utilize it look like? Is this going to be a more popular Pokemon than we had on 3DS? Will it be more spread? Will it will it have greater technical requirements on the back end, I guess is what I'm saying. Because if that's the case, I mean, I could see how they could justify an increase in cost for that. People might not like it, but I mean, still comparatively, man, I mean, like a lot of people are going to spend more at Starbucks in a week than it would cost them to, maintain that service for months or a year.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
and the other thing too, and I ruffled a lot of feathers on Twitter.
How did you ruffle feathers? I'm curious about this.
I just basically told people to reach in their couch or stop playing Pokemon and just figure out their $1 a month,
That didn't go over well.
It didn't go over very well. But besides entitlement though, I cannot, and I guess it's because of 23 years of, I guess, not being really charged anything besides the fact that they always release an additional game on top of the games they already released. So some people buy the same game on a technical level 3 times, but whatever. I cannot understand how Pokemon gets so much hate and I don't want to say viciousness, but a toxicity towards charging for services such as this, or DLC for that fact, when other games constantly are built on just nickel and diming completely, right? EA constantly gets trashed for all the stuff that they do for their monetization practices, but FIFA and Madden are on the #1 best-selling games of all time. Call of Duty has now had the practice to where they release a game with no monetization, and then 3 months later after reviews come out, they now add a bunch of pay to win and pay to make your player look good. They release all these gross things, and everyone just keeps playing it. Actually, Call of Duty is a best-selling game every year.
Right.
Have GTA Online, right? You have all these games that have all these monetization practices to where sometimes you're dropping $10 on like a skin, right? If you're playing Fortnite or whatever. But Game Freak wants to charge you $16 for a feature that you want. And they're not saying that you have to get it. They're not saying that you can't trade people mons or whatever if you don't get it. They're allowing you to have a free version of it. It's very, very limited. But the fact is like, yo, you broke, you can have a free version of it. I don't get where that comes from, as far as like, oh, well, Game Freak's all about the money. Absolutely, they're a business.
Right.
Pokemon's the best-selling franchise on Earth, period. And if they didn't do this, they would do something else to get your money. They would just paint a different coat of paint on it to make it not seem that way. They would release a third cartridge, and they would call it, I don't know, the Pokemon Funzy Tradesies. And you would do a ripoff of Tetris in it while trading your Pokemon, and they would charge you $60 for it, and no one was saying anything about that. I just don't understand where the community comes from and the toxicity that's just constant towards them, as like, but you do all these you play PlayStation, you play Xbox, you play PC, you don't just play the Switch. And even if you do play the Switch, you probably have bought in some kind of DLC that cost you $25. Maybe you bought the $40 DLC for Xenoblade. Maybe you bought the $25 DLC for Smash, now probably a second time. Maybe you've spent $40 on the Master Mode just to get additional difficulty on Legend Breath of the Wild or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, I just don't get it. There's value here, and I just hate seeing a whole community of people who are going to get it anyways rise up for nothing.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty massive community too, right? And that's just gonna be true of any community. Like, you're gonna have that really loud, toxic, vocal, and it's weird because usually those people don't represent the entirety of the sentiment of a particular community, right? They just happen to be the loudest people.
Also,
People
Red,
who are
I'm
coolest,
not
they're
talking about video
complaining.
games. I'm talking about in general.
Wait, what now? Are you talking to me?
No, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, that's all I was gonna say. Is like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, I mean, there's a vocal minority of every community that tends to paint a picture of the majority when that's not really the case. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not surprised. Plus, you got to think Pokemon has a massive fan base, right? One of the largest in gaming, no doubt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge amount. But you know, like I said, they're offering a ton of different options for people. So if you don't want to, pay the yearly amount, you can just pay $3 in one time. You could do it in a month. You can get all your Pokemon into home, and you could transfer them right out to wherever you want to go. So there's options for people. You can switch back to the free account after. You can manipulate the system. So there's options, which I'm sure people are going to find anyways. I just the constant toxicity towards a game that is really printing money is just kind of crazy to me, and that's kind of what's interested me most about this subject. But any other thoughts on home, guys?
I mean, I'm not upset with the $20 price tag a year. I mean, it's $3 a month. It's something that you're not even gonna notice. You're probably paying for the $5 a month for the Nintendo online service anyway, and that shit's trash. I mean, it's $3 Stop crying. Like, come on. It's cheaper than your fucking cup of coffee at Starbucks. I know that's his cup of coffee for sure.
Absolutely.
Like,
well,
You didn't have to get coffee today, did you, Dom? Are you okay? Are you scarred?
he gets coffee every single day.
I need it.
Even on his days off.
Like, you need your Red Bull, I need my coffee.
I don't need Red Bull, okay? I just like it a lot. I can stop whenever I want.
Can you? But can you really?
Stop whenever you want.
Well, I just want to speak to your point, you made it's a service that's going to be complained about, yet people are going to end up buying it anyway. And I think the proof is in the pudding with some of the sales figures that have come out about Pokemon Sword and Shield. From November 15th to December 31st, we have a kind of an idea of units sold, and also in comparison with other Pokemon titles as well. So just kind of wrap up this thought a little bit here. Pokemon Sword and Shield, whether it be Sword or Shield, has sold about 16.06 million pieces, right? Million copies. For perspective, lifetime sales of the following Pokemon games were Sun and Moon, sold 14.69 million lifetime. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, 10 millions. So really, the story we're seeing here is that as much as I saw a post on I think it's Twitter or Reddit the other day. It's like glad to see y'all's boycott Sword and Shield went real well. As with the captions being basically Pokemon Sword and Shield being the best selling Pokemon so far. So there is so much. I will say there's the other side of the coin too, where people like me and maybe people like Josh are buying in that aren't traditionally like Pokemon holics. And so maybe some of the sales figures came from people outside of who you considered the target audience for Pokemon. But the narrative here is that we're going to get a lot of flack for Pokemon Home, a lot of flack for the way that's going. But at the same time, it'll probably do well. It'll probably be fine. And in a few months, you'll be like, thank God we have this feature, especially as they continue to work on it. I'm sure that as they add more Pokemon to Sword and Shield, it'll just get better. So,
right.
Yeah, those sales numbers are just massive. Thinking about a console base that has way more consoles in the wild, and the hot Pokemon game of the last generation only sold a little over 14 mil. This one's well over 16 mil, and it's only been 6 weeks. So that is astronomical to me. So I can only imagine what kind of sales it's going to have when the next DLC drops in the summer and then again in the winter. The sales are just going to keep going up as people get new Switches. People will probably get Pokemon alongside it. So I think it's fascinating, and it makes me excited because one of my favorite franchises is going to keep, living on. And even if the vocal minority continues to speak out, it's just more proof that Game Freak's going to do whatever they want to anyways. So I'm happy with the changes that they've been doing. And that's my your local game looter's opinion over here. So speaking about somebody who is happy with what they're doing, there's another company who's a little mean and green, who's not exactly real comfortable with where they're currently at. And their 2019 or their last fiscal year was a little bit rough.
Well, yeah, a little bit of roughness coming out of the Microsoft sector, but I think at the same time, I'm not necessarily surprised, and I doubt anybody else is either. But we have coming out of GameIndustry.biz that Microsoft's gaming revenue is down about 21% in Q2, but subscriptions are still up. So there's the other side of the coin. Holiday hardware sales are predictably low as current console generation comes to a close. And I'm sure you could probably find some similar figures in the PlayStation world as well. Maybe not Switch, but the other two giants are definitely feeling it. Microsoft is reporting its earnings for Q2 and the current fiscal year, announcing overall growth overshadowing continued declines of the company's gaming segment. Total revenue reached about $36.9 billion, up 14% year over year. But with that being said, they did see those sales drop in Q2. So even though the drop was offset by that subscription growth, the Microsoft no longer reports Xbox Live MAUs, beginning with Q1 results for this year. So at last count, subscription totals were at about 65 million, which is nothing to sneeze at. And Microsoft has said that it's grown over the last 2 quarters since. In fact, on Q2 earnings call, Microsoft announced Live MAUs reached a new record high in Q2, and the Game Pass has subscriptions more than doubled in Q2 alone. And I'm not surprised on that. If they're counting everything, Game Pass Ultimate, and Game Pass Beta for PC, I mean, they picked me up, and I've not put it down since. And everything, like each month, there's probably a game I install. I don't know if I've played it yet. That's where they get me, but I do install it. So we continue to see that growth. This is kind of as a matter of fact story to me. It's just as we move into 2020 and the new cycle, I'm not surprised here.
Same. I mean, they're still doing well. They're still alive and kicking. Just so everyone knows who's watching or listening on podcast services around the globe, MAU stand for monthly average users. So just in case anybody had that just means that the average person subscribed to one of their services or all their services, which I'm sure that they do count Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass, and I'm sure they kind of count all their new subscribers who come in at the $1 price, $3 price. But regardless, it's they need it. So they need that. And I think that's what they want going into the next generation is people subscribing to their services to take advantage of Project xCloud in the future and whatever else they have planned. So
Yeah, I think that's definitely with the way that they're. It looks like they're. What's the way I'm looking at this? There's strategic niche of where they want to get to in the gaming scene. It's like, yes, you're going to get a box, but what we really want is we want you hooked on the subscription service.
Yeah.
And they're one that I'm okay with giving because there's a lot, honestly, a little bit kicking myself. I got gifted a Plague's Tale Innocence. This shout out to Red Gaming in the chat who wants everybody to play Plague's Tale. And I want to play a Plague's Tale. I'm getting there. At some point, I will boot it up.
I will boot it up as once as well.
It got added to Game Pass.
It did.
So yep. I think I got it gifted or I bought it on a Steam sale, but ultimately I could have held off on that and I could have just waited a little bit longer and it would have been there. So they never. What I'm getting at is they never actually cease to surprise me with what they actually add to this. It's usually more titles than I expect. It's not just indie mumbo jumbo. There's some good quality production in there.
Also, side note, Xbox Live with Gold this month, I think on the 16th of February, is adding Star Wars Battlefront, the original one.
Oh wow!
I haven't done 2 yet.
Who in the group is down?
Are we talking about the EA release or are we talking about the original?
LucasArts.
LucasArts PlayStation 2.
Yes, they are
for PC.
They're gonna have it on Xbox Live with Gold in the month of February.
So fucking there,
and I want to play it so bad.
Are we gonna get Battlefront 2? Do we know? We don't know yet, do we?
Probably not yet.
No. I'm talking about LucasArts PlayStation 2 Battlefront 2. Like Battlefront 1 for PS2 is really good. Battlefront 2 though is the epitome of Battlefront.
I mean, they could add it. Yeah,
originally?
I think it was. Yeah. I played it on a PS2, so I keep calling it PS2.
I played it on Xbox.
Yeah. It was out for everything.
The next month in March, we might get it. I mean, we don't know. That'd be nice.
Boy, I am. Yeah, dude, I'm there for some Dark Trooper action. Like that was my jam back in the day. Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a good time. That's like I don't even know what else they're adding to their whatever they have this month. Yeah. But Battlefront was the one I was like, oh. I mean, I own it. I could just put it in right now, but I'm gonna wait till the 16th. It's gonna be great.
Is there like server service for it? Can you actually like play with other people?
Yeah, it's backwards compat. Yeah, it's all they have the servers up and everything. Every Xbox original game that's backwards compat, they have live servers for. So you can put in Call of Duty Modern Warfare that was on the PS3, Xbox 360, and it'll boot up. You can put in some of the older original Xbox titles like Halo. If you want to play the backwards compat version of Halo, it'll work. Servers are up.
That's cool. That's cool.
Xbox, they do a lot of this stuff, and they're bringing that over in the next generation. So as you're a person who's a collector and stuff, it's awesome.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know enough.
Microsoft
find that on PlayStation. I don't feel like you'd find that on PlayStation.
No, you don't. But Microsoft money, you know what I mean?
Thank you, Bill Gates, our Lord and Savior.
Thank you, Bill Gates. They're just trying to save the old games, but another company that's trying to save gaming is the ESA. If you guys don't know what the ESA is a group of a bunch of the head honchos of all your favorite gaming companies who they opt in to kind of be in a group of people who represent gaming to Congress and a bunch of other political areas, at least in the United States, and they handle a yearly event which funds all of this, called the E3 or Electronic whatever Expo you call it. It's great. It's fun. They're trying to save in. They have stuff planned for us this year. What's going on over there?
I've heard of E3. Whatever they're doing, they're promising to mix it up. The E to the 3, E cubed, as it were. ESA promised to shake things up for E3 this year. From the ongoing absence of big names like Sony and EA, the mishandling of media registrants' personal information, the Electronics Entertainment Expo, that's E to the 3, has seen a few setbacks in recent years. The event organizers at the Entertainment Software Association today released a statement to address some of the concerns about the show, saying it is, quote, committed to keeping E3 at the level you have come to expect. This is a quotation from that direct message, and that is, you'll be happy to know we are not producing E3 2020 in a vacuum. For E3 2020, we're collaborating with industry insiders and new creative partners, including the tastemakers of IM8bit.com, to reinvigorate the show and, frankly, shake things up. We are well down the path on development and production of a large, super fun floor experience that celebrates gaming culture in exciting new ways. You should also know that we've upgraded our media registration process, received a lot of attention this past summer, the group said. Earning back your trust and support is our top priority. That's why we've rebuilt the E3 website and enhanced and layered security measures developed by an outside cybersecurity firm. This included updating our data management processes, including the handling of personally identifiable information, and we will no longer be sharing and storing that data on our site. We have also changed our registration practices, and we will collect the minimum information necessary to complete your registration. Interesting. I actually, you know what? I'm going to take a step. Was there like a data breach or something? Like, what the fuck happened here?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a data breach.
Was there? I completely
I didn't even know that.
But I think it only affected people with media passes, I believe. I don't think they got the. I don't think they got
so like the worst.
That's filthy.
Like the people you don't want to screw over because you want them to come back next.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people who comment on your professionalism in public forum.
Perfect. I'm glad they got screwed. That's insane. So okay, question to the panel. I'm going to ask this question because frankly, I've never been to E3. Josh, you're an E3 freak. Dom, you're an E3 insane freak. You're all freaks.
Better.
Cynthia, you're a freak as well. Everybody on that side's a freak.
Thanks.
My question is simply this. With Sony not appearing this year as well, did you have any apprehension? I know you don't have the media passes, so maybe you're not subject to the data breach. But if you were, would that be a concern of yours? Do you take anything from this? Was this ever a question? I mean, the vibe on E3 floor, is it completely different than what we see at home at streamers? What you got for me here?
In terms of wait, say that one more time. My fear about a data breach, and then also what was the
well, if you don't have a fear of data breach, I guess the second part is, does this statement from ESA, does this statement about E3, did you have any apprehension at all anyway? Like, does this do anything for you, or are you pretty much like, E3 pumped, here I come, Sony or not, it's going to be fantastic. Doesn't matter.
I'm pumped either way. You know, I'll have fun in LA. Like, even if, like, let's say hypothetically I can't get tickets to E3, I'm still going to go to LA and just hang out and have a great time. So, as far as the show specifically, though, I had somebody hit me up. I think it was my buddy Judge, who actually did play with us in Monster Hunter World the other night. He actually hit me up right around the time that I had purchased the tickets, because I think that breach happened before E3 actually happened, as I recall. To give me a heads up on it, but then I found out that it only affected the people with media passes. It doesn't really dissuade me. I think there are juicier targets out there for attackers than E3, right? I think there are targets that make a lot more sense for somebody who's looking to profit off illicit activities online. So it doesn't make me at all apprehensive. I'm glad to hear they're taking it seriously. At least they had the good grace to publicly say, get out ahead of their ticket sale for 2020 and say, hey, just a heads up, we haven't increased security for anybody who might have concerns. So yeah, I have zero apprehension. Now, as far as them just trying to make sure that it stays valuable, reassuring, I guess. I mean, I've only been to one, and I certainly didn't have a bad time. I wasn't really concerned about it being a good time, but I'm glad that they're thinking about it. That's awesome.
That's why I asked, because I think from the other side of the coin of somebody who's remote, who's watching a live stream, I know I felt fairly underwhelmed. And I think that the public at large that didn't attend sort of had that same sentiment. And I remember we talked about, I believe, the last podcast, or maybe even before that, there was a kind of a mention that the vibe was there differently. So somebody who's attended, some of us here at home, we may be thinking like, oh, great, that's great. They're going to mix it up. That's fantastic. Last year was a little bit of a snooze fest. But someone who's attending is like, you don't get the taste of it.
If we compare, because we've been going the last 3 years, so if we compare during the year that Sony was there, last year in specific, the Fortnite's huge. It's the biggest game on the planet. Maybe not anymore, but at least it was last year or whatever.
Sure.
The Fortnite booth there took up a very large area, where in years past it wouldn't have, and it was a Fortnite experience, right? They had rides and things and stuff like that. I think as we move forward, I think E3 will move forward to more. It'll cater to more experiences there. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it will. And with the vibe being different, the reality of E3 or most conventions that are large, Gamescom in Germany, Tokyo Game Show in Japan, the reality of the show is by going there, you're going to get to potentially play a lot of games that may not have even been surfaced to the public through your internet experience. One of my favorite booths to visit each year is Bandai. And Bandai typically has around 14 games. I think that's what they had last year. I counted 14. Sometimes more, sometimes less, of games that are going to be coming out for the foreseeable next 2 years. And for the most part, they're all playable. So as a person going, you're able to get your hands on a lot of games that you may not have even seen because of just the magnitude that they bring, which is not a lot. So I still think that it's going to remain an experience for the foreseeable future. I just don't know I don't like the pivot towards, let's bring Ninja here. Let's invest money in like stuff like that. Because as a person who attends E3, which is mostly for, because we're fans of certain developers and things of that nature, because we do have a YouTube channel to where we talk about these things on a weekly basis with you guys here. Thank you guys for joining us this week. If you're not sub, make sure you guys do. If you listen to podcast services around the world, make sure you guys follow. If you guys are here, then that's what we do it for. We do it for that. We do it to shoot, like Josh over there. We go to shoot 12 hours of B-roll and have the opportunity to talk about our experience and many different facets. What?
Okay, we'll go with those child leashes or something.
Yeah, I said I feel like we're gonna lose.
I'll put a little monitor on them, and I'll have an app.
I'll get a tile. I'll get a tile thing. It'll literally just be clipped to you.
It'll be fine.
I'll just look at my
I'll
phone.
check in every 15
minutes.
minutes.
Where's it now?
And then the last thing is Nintendo. Nintendo's presence there is enormous.
Huge.
And again, you don't get the full experience of it because when you're watching it online, they have the Treehouse, which is probably the best thing at E3. It goes on for 3 days, all day long. They show all the games. But when you're there, you have the opportunity to play it. And again, there are some niche games that don't make it to the Treehouse Live that you're able to get your hands on or report to or talk about it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever social platform that you're on. So I still think it will remain a viable platform for gaming. And the honest thing is E3 week controls the media outlet. I don't know if you guys know what media looks like after E3. It is a ghost town. And for right reasons, right? Because all the media floods in that 1 week and reports about everything E3. And I don't think it's going to go away for a while. And ESA is saying that it won't because they're going to be investing, a good amount of money to ensure that doesn't happen. So that's my hot take.
Question. Real quick question before we segue or final thought. Is there a pivot towards personalities rather than products that you started to see E3 move towards?
Again, last year the biggest thing was they had so there was another friend who would come on our channel sometimes. You guys may not remember him, but anyways, he came with us last year. And there was some big streamer, a big Fortnite streamer that he got very excited for that was there.
His name?
And what?
Dr.
Lupo? Dr. Lupo. Okay, I didn't remember it. And he was there. So again, in that one subsection of E3, there were streamers streaming Fortnite and hyping up, and there was a lot of I call them kitty boppers there that they were all going all crazy for the Fortnite juice and whatnot. And I think that it was a cool attraction for maybe a lot of people who are tired of waiting in lines or they want just to kind of mix up their day or whatever. So I think that we may see more things like that, unfortunately.
Fair.
I'm just excited just to go. The fact that we get access to demo games before the general public and bring that experience back to you guys, it's always fun. With Sony not being there for the second year in a row, it's sad and disappointing because of course you want to be able to experience everything, read to your question, will Sony games still be there? No, they won't be. It might be games that can be on PlayStation but aren't exclusive to PlayStation. That will be available on Xbox and things like that. But yeah, I feel like every year they don't go, they're missing a huge opportunity because they want to be stingy and, we're just going to do our own conferences. I mean, you've been doing this for decades now, and now you want to, not go?
I feel like in some capacity, and you can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the feeling of it is it's kind of the end of an era. Because, we all grew up, I don't know, we're all in our probably mid to late 20s or 30s. We always grew up in the E3 Expo was all the big hitters coming in and showing off and one up in each other, and they were all in the same arena, and they were all get your dollar bill. And now they've all split off, and they've kind of said, now I've got my home base. This is where I'm going to sell my product, and it's not necessarily on the same playing field that you're selling your product. And while we still see Nintendo present, I mean, for the majority, I mean, Xbox has their own building, and PlayStation's I'm going to go home.
Sorry,
I feel like it's I guess my only point is on some level it's not rational because everybody's still selling their product, right? And E3 is still going to be a platform for people to speak. But for the longest time, it was I don't know. It just felt like everybody was going to the marketplace to try to pull you over to sell their wares.
Yeah,
and now it's not so cutthroat anymore.
I think
let me talk. Jesus.
Sorry.
So
calm down.
With Microsoft having their own arena, yeah, that's great. But I don't think it does anything as far as affecting PlayStation, right? And for them not to go because of that, it's kind of petty, right? I kind of feel like you're taking away from the consumers that's giving you the free publicity and marketing your games that are coming out for free, mind you, because you want to do it on your own terms. You want to do all these little smaller expos, right? It was kind of a letdown when they weren't there last year. And for them to have done it again this year, again, it's another letdown. So where Sony used to be was literally right next to Microsoft, side by side. And I mean, both of these guys, Nintendo is not a small booth at all. It literally takes the entire half of one hall. I mean, these halls are massive. And so Sony would be next to them, and that's all it was just Sony, Nintendo. And in the other hall, the entire half of it would be Microsoft. And then, next to Microsoft would be all of the smaller indie or smaller development games. But it was a pretty decent sized hall, so that way Bethesda and all those others well-known developers would be. And I like that. When Microsoft got their own theater, I thought it was smart because I was like, great. Now there's more real estate for everyone else to either get a bigger booth or have more people come in to showcase their games. And so I thought it was smart because it was giving opportunity to everybody else. And then Sony just decides to be like, well, nope, I'm just backing out now. Again, more open real estate, but the fact that they're just not even there, I mean, it feels like an insult to us. Because again, sure, you don't have to be there, but at the same time, it's like I feel like they're doing it for petty reasons.
Yeah, I don't really understand oh, go ahead.
No, I have nothing to contribute. I'd love to say.
I don't really understand what the business rationale is for not having a presence. I mean, I feel like, the marketing cost they might incur to have the privilege of presenting, they were probably a drop in the bucket compared to their revenue. But the thing that really I don't get is, I mean, it's one thing for me to be just as a fan of, sort of upset that they're not going to be in attendance. But also I just feel like they miss out on so much organic, like word of mouth marketing that you get from that. I mean,
Mhm.
in an era when literally anybody you see on the street could be a content creator with a reach of potentially millions of people, to not have something on display at a place where you've got, the just the probably the highest concentration of game fans around. It's like the Super Bowl of gaming, right?
Yeah.
So considering there are like tens of thousands or 100,000 people that go through that venue every year, it just seems weird when everybody's basically just like a walking social media marketer at that point to not capitalize on, because again, you can't buy that kind of exposure conventionally speaking.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why I said it's an insult to us because it's a small investment that they're putting to be there when they get
Right.
all of the free publicity from us because of all that word of mouth. Like, where, mind you, like not everyone watches E3, but like all of our viewers here, they might watch us and we'll talk about it, and they're like, oh, a new game is coming out, when they
Right,
would have
right, right.
never known about it otherwise because they've never watched an E3
And I think
thing before.
that hits my point too. Is like you're talking about organic word of mouth. Like everybody comes to the arena, everybody comes to the marketplace. I'm going to sell you on my game, and we're all going to continue here in this place. And it's like, no, I'm going to choose this outlet. This is the outlet I'm going to choose to sell my game. Whereas, like you said, Josh, anybody random person coming up, I mean, that's potentially hundreds of thousands of people that aren't influenced simply because they didn't attend.
Right.
And honestly, I guarantee it's baked into their budget. Like they could bake it in, and it would be a drop in the bucket. So
Yeah.
it's kind of been a thing for forever, and now it may not be a thing anymore. And I think that we're by nature we like our routines in such a way. So I'm glad they're going to shake it up. But ultimately, I think in my capacity, I'd love to see I like the head to head. I like everybody under one big E3 gaming roof.
Yeah.
I liked that aspect of it. I don't know. There's something about, but then again, I'm thinking about a time when everything was reported through a magazine. So, with that being said, maybe I'm the dinosaur, and this is how it should be.
Well, speaking about dinosaurs and games that have been around forever, World of Warcraft, Chris. So take us into the last subject of the night. I know you are very passionate about
this
DLC
has nothing to do with
dropped.
World of Warcraft. Nothing to do. This is Warcraft, which is not World of Warcraft.
I mean, to the
You
outside looking in, Warcraft world. If you had a world or a of,
I'm gonna ask everybody who's in the panel and everybody out there on YouTube land to just not take this news as it's Warcraft 3, which it is, and I'm gonna read. But I want you to think about a game you love. And we're gonna think about an IP that if it was done dirty, you would feel something about it, all right?
okay.
Because what happened to people who were in love with the Warcraft franchise, which was an RTS before it was an MMO, and Warcraft 3 being the last one of that RTS series, Warcraft 3 Reforged launched on Tuesday, and fans are unhappy with the launch version. So Warcraft 3 Reforged was released earlier this week, but it appears to not be meeting the expectations of fans. The classic strategy RPG is under fire by the Blizzard community for a variety of different reasons, compounded by how it's no longer possible to play the older, beloved version of the game. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. When Blizzard announced Warcraft 3 Reforged at BlizzCon, this was the same year that they said, what, you guys don't have cell phones? We love Doom Immortal, or whatever, Diablo Immortal, whatever the hell that was. So it was a debacle year for them already, and they announced this, and it was a saving grace. There was going to be balance changes, additional voiceovers, redone animations, expanded custom game creator, and all kinds of stuff was going to be thrown on the table for this game. There was a playable demo at that BlizzCon, and everybody said, I have such high expectations for this game. It's phenomenal. Maybe not quite that high, but it looked very good at the time. Let's put it that way. But Warcraft 3 Reforged is now out, and fans have discovered reimagining has fallen quite short. Immediately, players discover that Reforged just doesn't look as good as it was promised to be. While graphics are upgraded, cutscenes don't feature the cinematic camera work that was previously advertised at BlizzCon and on their website. While in addition, you can see comparisons between the 2018 video and 2020 all over YouTube, and you'll see they are nowhere near the same capacity. Players on the Warcraft 3 subreddit and forums are complaining about the connectivity issues, lack of a competitive ladder, wording for the EULA end user license agreement that grants Blizzard the rights to own any custom map created by a user, presumably to prevent another Warcraft 3 mod like Death of the Ancients, Dota 2, League of Legends, from becoming a successful non-Blizzard game. So why I wanted everybody to kind of come in front on this is a little bit, yes, it's about Warcraft 3. Yes, it's about Blizzard. But what this is really about, too, is a beloved franchise that you may have just getting the absolute butt-fuck treatment. And that hurts no matter what game you play.
Yeah.
I think the straw that broke the camel's back on this is that quite frankly, they actually false advertised this game. I don't even really have a horse in this race. The last Warcraft I played was Warcraft 2. I didn't play Warcraft 3 that much. They outright showed cutscenes that are not and will not be, as far as we know, existed in this time. Okay? They showed one thing at BlizzCon. We got another thing, and it's far inferior. The removal of ladder, I'm not super... Like, I understand they'll probably add that maybe a month or two down the road. That's always been a thing, is ladder matches. I mean, this is it's an 18-year-old game, 17-year-old game. People still play ladders. That'll be there. I'm not worried about that. But to go so far as to also say that, basically it was a huge debacle with Valve whenever Death of the Ancients 2, Dota 2 came out. And they were like, they won that lawsuit. Valve did. They said, basically, you changed the names of the characters, it's your... And Blizzard is so fucking bitter about that they lost the intellectual property of Dota, which was originally conceptualized from a style of gameplay from Warcraft. That they have gone so far as to say, to make it explicit, that anything you create within the map editor is theirs. So this has made a lot of people on the forum say, basically, I would suggest going to another platform, because quite frankly, if you're making a map and it does well, you're basically working for Blizzard for free.
Oof.
Yeah.
And then the final straw that broke the camel's back, Warcraft 3 has not been some elusive thing that people have been on the hunt to find a resource to play it. The classic Warcraft 3 installer has been on Blizzard up until the 28th. I own the classic version. You can install it. You can play it as it was in 2002, 2003. Now that the Reforged client has occurred, you can no longer play Classic. So even if you don't own Reforged, currently you cannot play the game you bought and have played for arguably 18 years. Some people do. Some people have still been playing it for 17, 18 years. So this one hits me because when I was growing up, and you guys were growing up, there were certain people, Square Enix, Capcom. There were certain developers that made games that you said, that right there, that's the fucking standard game should be made by. I don't care about this SOCOM Navy SEALs bullshit or Sad Sam and his salty sea dogs. I don't know what the hell. Maybe there's a diamond in the rough out there. But for PC, one of those major players was they were making games that all of their games should be held to the quality of customer service, XYZ, quality of gameplay, quality of content. And they're just not there anymore. So I guarantee the panel, on some level, I guarantee there's a game out there that you guys, has there ever been a game that you've gotten that has been done very dirty that you had strong feelings about, or is the console world perfect? Maybe that's my time to come over.
Console world, I'll take that one. Not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. If I had to pick one game that I was done dirty on, I won't pick a game, but I will say a series. Silent Hill, which has been one of my favorite series ever since I first played it, and it was one of the games that pulled me out of my rampant Nintendo fanboyism and into the PlayStation era. And it's one of those things where like the first four were really, really good. Like I liked all four of the original Silent Hills, and then things slowly started to go downhill. And then we got a pretty decent movie, and then we got a horrible movie. And now Konami's in this place where they're just like they're all about profit so much that they basically betrayed their core audience. Like I understand that it's way more cost effective as a business to dump a very small amount of money into churning out mobile games that at scale generate massive amounts of profit. I understand that. But it also sucks that you sort of tarnish your legacy with the people that helped you get to that point by completely betraying their trust in you and the brands that you established. So, yeah, console world not perfect, and Konami
It hurts.
one. And the thing that really sucks is like I'm one of those kids who grew up, and when you saw like the Capcom logo, or you saw like the Konami logo flash across the screen in a 16-bit sort of style, you knew you were getting something quality. And it really did feel like the end of an era whenever we hit that tipping point around 2013, 2014, when the whole PT thing blew up and Konami basically collapsed everything that they were doing that was of interest to me anyways, anything related to like Castlevania or Silent Hill, for example. So yeah, it sucks whenever, especially when you're a longtime fan of a particular publisher, or a longtime fan or a super fan of a particular game or series, just to see it go down the toilet. Like, that sucks. That's not a fun time.
I'm going to say a statement and then a question. The last thing I forgot to mention on here, if you can believe it, when people found, you can go, if you curious, you can go on YouTube. You can say, you can search. It's called the Purge. There's a well-known cutscene where Arthas, the character in here, we got to purge the whole city, and that was the selling point at E3, or not E3, sorry, BlizzCon, their E3, for lack of a better word, where they showed off the hero that didn't make it into the end, and what made it into 2020 is absolute trash. You can see a side-by-side comparison. It's horrible. When people started getting to this point in the game, and then started saying, this is not what is on the website currently. You can even go to the website today, and it still shows cutscenes from the game that don't exist in the game. And you say, well, this is kind of feels like false advertising. I'm not getting the content that's advertised right here. People wanted to start requesting refunds. Well, the moderators on the Blizzard forums started banning individuals for helping other people find out how to get refunds and how to submit refunds.
Jeez,
so next level, and then a question to follow up on that too. With Silent Hill, wasn't there a demo that was presented that fleshed out as well? I don't mean to add salt to the wounds.
Oh no, you're fine. Well, was there a demo for what now?
For Silent Hill. Wasn't there a Silent Hill demo that was shown off and then never developed, and people were like, this is fucking awesome, and they actually never developed it?
Yeah, so that was PT, which was short for playable teaser, and that was basically the big reveal. Kojima was going to be working with Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus to bring Silent Hills out, which is supposed to be the next big entry in the series. But what's really weird is I've read so much on this, and it's completely bonkers. Like, did you played PT? Didn't you? Or you've seen it played?
I did.
I had it downloaded on my PS4 2015, 2014,
right?
Something like that. I deleted it.
Like, there's still an active community of people who are picking that game apart, and there have been updates even as recently as like a month ago where people found out, like, oh yeah, you were playing as Norman Reedus the whole time because we did camera hacks to kind of move around the character model in a way you weren't supposed to see that yes, that was who you were playing as, as Lisa, creepily follows you down the hall and everything. But if you look back, there are some videos that go through an extensive history of Kojima's split from Konami, and it seems like when he was wrapping development on the playable teaser, he could already see the writing on the wall that he was going to be parties with them, and they were basically doing this changing of the guard type situation to replace him. So a lot of the thematic content in that demo was said to be basically a wink and a nod to the fan from Kojima saying, yeah, I'm taking off, I'm splitting on my own. And one of the things they pointed out was, as you loop through the hallway in that game, you get 4 different colors at a certain point, depending once you get past midnight and you're kind of, about to wrap up the demo. And those colors, I believe, were red, green, blue, and yellow, which were said to basically correspond directly to the colors of the PlayStation logo. And that was like one of his subtle clues to fans, like, hey, I'm going PlayStation exclusive, get ready, like something's going to happen. Because apparently he'd been reaching out to contacts even when he knew everything was on the way out to sort of, get the ball rolling, figure out where he was going to go next. So I thought that was really interesting. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
No, that is really interesting.
I love them nerd facts.
So I want to I want to answer your question with the question kind of. So one of the series that, or I don't like to say series, one of the developers I held high for a long time was BioWare, because they gave us Mass Effect. And one of the most disappointing games I've played, at least in this generation, was Andromeda. Now it's in a lot better spot now, 4 years from its release. But the reality is it's still not up to par of the epic generational type games that they gave us with 1, 2, and 3. And a lot of that I stem from them now being quote unquote controlled or manipulated, or at least they have to go through a door of EA. With your company,
Right.
Blizzard, now that their door has the word Activision on it, and Activision
Fuck
seems
me.
to be a big part of Blizzard, their customer service, they fired them, right? They did that last year, and a lot of it has to be Activision control, because they're all about the dollars and cents, and a lot of what doesn't make sense is Blizzard's decision of the past prior to them existing.
You're not wrong. As a matter of fact, it's funny you should mention that, because I started doing a little bit of deep dive into more of the story, because I'd seen the flames, and there's some aspects of Blizzard I still like Warcraft. Really, like retail and classic was done solid, actually, surprisingly, and it seems so out of scope for something like Activision Blizzard to do, really. And retail is retail, but Shadowlands looks promising. So I started diving in on it. And not only are you correct, Dom, QA and customer service. Now, arguably, 8.3, which is the WoW patch that just launched a couple weeks ago, is the sloppiest launch since they cut all those fuckers. Not only did they cut all the customer service and QA, Dom, they not only cut them, realized that they needed them again, put job listings out there, and added on responsibilities to the new job listings at a lower pay rate.
Oof.
It gets worse. Just when you think it can't get worse, it's like someone's like, hold my beer. I'm going to go put these postings up. I'm going to go find out how I can really screw this up. Yes. So to answer your question,
It's crazy.
BioWare having EA at the front door saying this doesn't pass until we say you can get out. Having Activision at the front door. I don't know. I don't remember. And here's the thing. I don't remember Blizzard to be in such bad shape that it needed this partnership. But I need to do a little bit more research into why they put in bed with Activision.
I don't know.
The thing is, it wasn't too far. Like, they did it not too far after they were literally at the height of their subs. Yes, they took a plunge. I can't believe that they were hemorrhaging that much money that they really needed to get in bed with Activision. But that was the beginning of where we start to see the decline in customer service quality and production. So, and the same could be said with I'm seeing where you're drawing a parallel there with BioWare and Mass Effect, and we didn't have these quality control weird ass issues until Andromeda.
And
that's what EA was.
What tends to happen with these companies too, especially for the ones that you love and you follow, is you start noticing the people who created the games you love and etc. begin to leave. And that's when the writing starts to become on the walls, is when you hear like, oh, X developer, X producer, X artist, S whatever, who's been there for 18 years, 12 years, 11 years, are they currently party ways, right? And then they constantly have this change in management, change in, honestly, it's a change in
opinions.
Focus, opinions, what their
priorities,
all of it. You change one leader in a company and everything's different. It rarely stays the same. So not saying that that's it for this particular instance. It could be a plethora of different things, but it's just sad to see it.
Yeah, it's
sad
just
to see it.
It's just bad to
You
see
hate to
it
see
happen in the beginning.
You do.
Of pretty much the opening gates of a video game such as this, because it had such high regards, and for it just to do so
and you lose your
terrible.
most loyal people, especially like in your scenario, people who were playing this for almost 2 decades. A lot of them begin to not do that anymore.
Yeah, they're like, well, I guess I gotta find something else now.
And there's the 1% of the 1% who can go and find out someone who has it. They can still play it on some rando server. There's always ways to do it, but for the public that maybe they're not that savvy, or they don't do that, or they were just, this is just what they boot up every other day or once a week. That sucks.
And that does. There's actually a whole subset of people that didn't fucking buy this, that just use the launcher and can't just play the game that they paid like $15-$20 for. And they're really like the silent heroes. But I mean, they really are. They're really like the person's like, I had no horse in this race, and suddenly I'm fucked over. And I bought this game 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a very small subset of people, but they matter. I would like to think that they matter. I think anybody who purchases something to some capacity should probably matter to a company. And I just don't think what this feels like, to be quite honest, is that they got to a certain point. They realized it wasn't going to pull the money that they thought it was. It wasn't enough hype, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And they said resources need to go elsewhere. We're going to release something that's as good as they're going to get. And we're going to go over to Diablo 4. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever it is. That's unfortunate, but that's how, and I'd like to draw a conclusion too, is like, you think of your favorite bands, maybe if you listen to music, those bands that have gone on way longer than they should have. Yeah. I think that companies kind of do that to some capacity too. It's like there are very few companies out there that 20 years down the road, they're still putting out number one hits that top the charts. It's like most have a peak and a plateau, and then like a slope down.
They drop off, yeah.
And that's just kind of the way of it. Unless you kind of throw some fresh blood in the mix things up. It's still having the mission statement, but also maybe,
as long as there's not a constant change of that fresh blood, just in and out, in and out, in and out.
Well, that's where then the bottom line comes. It's
Yeah.
like fresh doesn't have to mean cycling people. So,
exactly.
But yeah, it's a sad state, and I think everybody can think of something that they wish maybe whomever handled it, whatever IP or whatever game, could have probably been done better. And we've all been scorned by something, and this is just one notch on the bedpost of your EAs, your publishers.
I hear you there, but what could have been done better is tonight's episode of the LootCast, brought to you by the Game Loots, right here on all podcast services around the globe. Make sure you guys follow if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, wherever you guys are at. Make sure you guys follow and support your favorite looters. Guys, that has been episode number 34 of the LootCast. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you to Chosen and Red, and I know Lilypad's back there lurking somewhere. Thank you all who have stuck around from the beginning to now the end of the episode. We're going to talk about our outros real quick. Tonight is going to go a lot smoother and easier. There's not very many of us on tonight's episode, but that's okay. We pack a punch tonight. We'll start with Mr. Your Player 2. Take us out, brother.
Yes, absolutely. Wait, what am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to talk about my channel, right?
Yeah.
That's the outro?
Okay.
Yeah, so what's been going on the channel? I did do a review of the PlayStation 4 DualShock 4 back button attachment. Terrible name, incredibly handy accessory. I'll drop a link to that video review in the chat if you want to go check it out. But essentially, if you're not familiar, my channel is all about gaming content, but then on top of that, I also do a lot of content that is encouraging, informative, otherwise helpful to other people who also create gaming content on a regular, with YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, what have you. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, go check out the channel and subscribe, or call me a lot of horrible names. I can better than. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for another episode tonight. The narrator himself, Mr. Monopulse. I know you're a little bit sick, but thank you for coming tonight to do your thing. We appreciate you.
No problem. I don't know. I've got another few days to recoup before the next Monday, so I'm hoping the next 2 days I'm off. I'm going to continue to chill. I'm going to drink them fluids. I pushed as hard as I could tonight to be involved, but I'm going to go pass out after this. So I hope I wake up tomorrow, and I'm hoping that on Monday we can resume Community Day with Pokemon. That's been super fun. So I will keep you guys posted whenever I know. But that's what we're pushing forward towards this Monday. So
absolutely. And from us, the Looters, guys, thank you guys so much for joining. Again, this is episode number 34. You can catch me and Cynthia live tomorrow. I don't know exactly what we'll be streaming yet. It's going to be a surprise. So come by for Friday's surprise. It's going to be a fun time. Make sure you guys come back for that. And, of course, we'll be streaming all weekend. So make sure you guys come by 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to come and hang out with us. And from us to you guys, again, make sure you guys follow. Make sure you guys subscribe. Thank you guys for participating in chat and hanging out with us.